is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Victory is a treat, best shared among teammates. Confronting, conquering the pressure with a title at stake raises the level of respect and triggers celebration. In the company of close friends, no challenge is too heavy to accept. These are the quarterbacks who today take their troops into the CFL finals.
Hey, we're going Montreal, baby!
Tempers flared and blood boiled the last time Montreal and Winnipeg met. Anthony Cavillo engineered the Owls to 3 wins in 4 tries against the Bombers, while Mike Pringle controlled the ground game. Alouette veterans would love to shove the Bombers aside. Winnipeg rode a game-winning Troy Westwood field goal over the Ticats to reach the Eastern Final. The ill will cuts both ways, but the upstart Bombers are buoyed by the strength of Kahari Jones' arm and resolve. Coaches Charlie Taft and Dave Ritchie shared disappointment in Montreal, but today one will emerge smiling. This Calgary crowd expects the Stampeders to contest the Grey Cup. Dave Dickinson leads the way at quarterback. One of his favorite targets, Mark Boerichter. At 37, Damon Allen is still getting the job done. Robert Drummond is the key on the ground. It's the CFL Finals on CBC. Live at Molson Stadium in Montreal. This time last year, the fans left with broken hearts, but that was 12 months ago. This afternoon, the Alouettes are in the Eastern Final for the 5th straight season, this time against the Blue Bombers. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Armitage, and welcome to the CFL on CBC. The road to the Grey Cup makes 2 stops this afternoon in Montreal and Calgary. In the West, you'll see the Western Final between the BC Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. We'll have more on that matchup in just a moment. But right now, let's focus on the one here in Montreal. The first ever playoff meeting between the Alouettes and the Blue Bombers. They're billing this one as the Brawl in Montreal. These teams don't like each other, and they both have something to prove. The Alouettes, that they can finally win a final after losing 4 straight. The Bombers coming off a big win over Hamilton, proving that they're better than their 7-10-1-1 record posted during the course of the regular season. Now, with their thoughts on this afternoon's Eastern Final between the Owls and Blue Bombers, we join Mark Lee and Glenn Suter. Guys?
Thanks a lot, Steve. Yes, there is animosity between these 2 teams. They're not only calling this the Brawl in Montreal, they're calling it the Thrilla in Magilla. It's a huge heavyweight battle, and it's all being stoked by the Blue Bombers, the team that led the CFL in penalties this year. They're promising violence out there today, revenge for a big game here where there were fights in October.
Yeah, the level of violence in football in the playoffs is unlike any other sport. This started back in October between these 2 teams. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers wanted to do their touchdown dance. Montreal didn't want it to happen here at home at Molson Stadium. The fight began. Kelly Wiltshire was thrown out. Milt Stegall was thrown out of the game. They just flat out don't like each other, and there will be a great level of intensity in this football game this afternoon.
Yes, there were ejections and there were fines, and the league said from now on the dances will be allowed. Now, here are some of the quotes leading up to this game. The Brawl in Montreal. That was one of the first titles coming, and the Bombers were saying there will be bad blood coming here. There will be violence. I'm telling you, this team is really jacked up.
Well, absolutely, but the question is, I mean, a lot of people are doing a lot of talking right now. Who's going to walk it like they talk it here this afternoon?
Let's look at the tail of the tape and a couple of matchups we think will be huge, beginning with the Ball Hawks versus the Bomb Squad. Lethal weapon for the Bomb Squad, the big play receivers for Winnipeg.
Kahari Jones loves the deep ball. In fact, when you look at the starting receivers, Albert Johnson, G. Roy Troy Simon, Robert Gordon, and of course Milt Stegall. They have 20 plays over 40 yards this season, 10 over 50 yards. They love to go deep, but it's a great matchup because it's against the Montreal strength.
Yes, and Milt Stegall's name is not there because these guys have held him to just 34 yards per game.
Yeah, David Sanchez led the league in interceptions with 9. Lester Smith, his teammate, right behind him with 8. This team had more interceptions in the regular season than any other team in the CFL.
How about Anthony Calvillo, the Montreal quarterback, versus the Winnipeg defense? In 3 games he played this year, he had huge numbers, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Well, the only time that Winnipeg beat Montreal this year, Anthony Calvillo did not play in the football game. 7 touchdowns against just 1 interception. His completion percentage is up there. He doesn't make the mistakes against Winnipeg.
Now, we can't talk about a big playoff game without talking about the kickers. Let's start with Montreal's Terry Baker. He led the CFL in scoring this year and had a terrific record over the last 6 games of the season.
Well, he really has. Over the last 6 games, he's only missed 1 field goal. And when you look back in playoff action over the last 2 seasons, 98 and 99, he's perfect. So Terry Baker's on his game.
And then there's Troy Westwood, the hero of last week's semifinal, overcoming some early season demons to win it.
Well, in 3 of the first 4 games, Troy Westwood could have made the difference for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he didn't. He missed key field goals, but he made everyone forget about that last week with 2 big kicks. A 52-yard punt to set up his game-winning field goal. He has got to be confident in this football game.
Both kickers on their game, but might this be a factor here today? Baker has had 6 punts blocked today and 2 field goals blocked. And one of those blocked punts came at the hands of Duran Bolden of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Steve?
Thank you, Mark. As you might expect here in Montreal, thousands of fans all supporting the Alouettes, but it's really amazing the number of Blue Bomber fans that have made it here to the east. Up next, we'll preview the Western Final, the rematch, the Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. They have just struck up the band here at Molson Stadium from Wells High School in Wells, Maine, about to entertain this capacity crowd at Molson Stadium. The Eastern Final just a few moments away. Last Sunday in Edmonton, Damon Allen was brilliant. The running game of Sean Millington and Robert Drummond was simply awesome in leading the BC Lions to a win over the Eskimos. The question is, can they do the same today in Calgary and spoil what the Calgary Stampeders are hope will be a very enjoyable Grey Cup party? With more on the Western Final, let's join Chris Cuthbert and Chris Walby. Guys?
It's a rematch of last year's Western Final, only this time at McMahon Stadium. And the BC Lions coming in on a roll, Chris, with a high-powered 3D offense.
Listen, 3D offense, Chris, I'm going to tell you what. If I'm Calgary, on defense, I'm wearing these 3D glasses because I don't know who's coming at me. Is it the Diesel, Sean Millington? Maybe Robert Drummond? Or maybe Damon Allen? They can come at you and hurt you in so many ways.
Why do they complement each other so well?
Well, the biggest thing is Sean Millington, between the tackles, what a powerful runner. Robert Drummond, go inside, outside, more of a slasher, likes to go to the outside. And, of course, Damon Allen can beat you through the air, and he's got great athletic ability and can hurt you with the run.
So a great target in Alfred Jackson. 9 touchdown catches in the last 7 games, but we know Calgary can score 2. Dave Dickinson, 36 touchdown passes, and I got a feeling he can do some damage against that young Lion secondary.
Ooh, he's got to be licking his chops watching the films from last week. I mean, on one side you got Carter and Lewis, the vets, but on the other side you got McClelly and Levy. They don't have a whole lot of game experience, so I'm saying, hey, this is where I'm going to exploit. I'm going to test these guys early, and if I find success, I'm going to stay with them.
Maybe the forgotten aspect, though, of the Calgary offense is their running game, Kelvin Anderson.
You know what? We talk a lot about the big running backs in BC, and they are very good, believe me. But Kelvin Anderson comes in here today almost quietly. But yet here's a guy last game, Chris, 147 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. He really is the key that'll get that Calgary offense going.
Might be a shootout in the Western Final. Some real problems for Alondra Johnson and the Stamps defense and for David Benefield and the Lions defense to deal with at McMahon Stadium. With his thoughts, let's join the coach, our game day analyst, Michael Clemens.
Thanks, Chris. Here we are, the scene of the crime, where in a few hours the teams will take the field. These are the moments that define greatness. So what are the players thinking? What is going through their mind right now? Well, as I see it, it's Cinderella versus the Maid of Honor. You say Cinderella versus the Maid of Honor? Yes, Cinderella, the BC Lions, who all year have struggled, but have brought it together at the right time. And their leader, Louis Pisagula, he might be Destiny's Child. On the other side of the ball, the Calgary Stampeders, they're the Maid of Honor. They're hosting the whole event. They're supposed to be here. They have everything to lose. They've been the team of the decade, but have only won it all twice. Will the maid of honor finally catch the bouquet, or will Cinderella find that the shoe fits? Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Michael, and we'll be hearing from pinball throughout the day as our game day analyst. BC and Calgary following Winnipeg and Montreal. And right now, let's go back to Molson Stadium.
Thank you, Chris. Now, if we could only get pinball to be a little bit more energized, or should I call him coach now after the terrific job he did after taking over the Toronto Argonauts. We're just a few moments away from the kickoff here at Molson Stadium in Montreal, the much anticipated Eastern final between the Alouettes and the Blue Bombers. The Owls trying to snap a 4-game Eastern final losing streak. The Bombers in the playoffs for the first time since '94. You're looking live at Molson Stadium in Montreal. We're just a few moments away from the Eastern final, the Alouettes against the Blue Bombers. Well, coming up next, we'll have the Stamps and Lions, the Western final from Calgary. That's the second half of our CFL playoff doubleheader, immediately following the brawl in Montreal. And of course, next Sunday, the Grey Cup from Calgary, our pregame show hosted by Brian Williams. Of course, whenever they hold the Grey Cup in Calgary, it's always an event both on and off the field, and our complete Grey Cup coverage on CBC begins at 3:30 Eastern Time. Well, if you're a Winnipeg fan, last Sunday's game in Hamilton was a Cinderella-like finish. If you happen to be a fan of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, it was your worst nightmare come true. To your typical CFL fan, it was a great finish, an exciting finish, something we've come to expect. It was the Eastern final, the last 90 seconds, a thriller between the Ticats and Winnipeg.
Third and 5. They are not going to go for the field goal, which would get them within 2 with 2:16 to go. Ron Lancaster's strategy is punch it in, or else we've got Winnipeg backed up. Third and goal. Big play. McManus in trouble. Gets it away. Wide open. Touchdown. Averson. What's up? I ain't going home. I live with football. Well, I'm surprised, Chris. Minute 32 left, and they are going to punt the ball.
Let's just not say that. They're lining up looking like, remember Troy Westerville, they're right now, everybody on the Hamilton side saying, make sure he kicks the football.
And he is kicking it away. His best kick. And it goes over Aikens, who has trouble with it. And it turns out to be a better decision than we might have thought.
Now you're basically putting the ball in the Hamilton hands. I mean, they obviously have to control their own destiny now.
Minute 20 on the clock in second and long. And they throw a flea flicker, perhaps Averson down. What was that? Back inside the 15.
Well, I do not like that call. Anytime you're putting a situation where you're going to put your offense back from where you originally are in the first place, I don't like.
Scott Russell telling us that Bob Cameron on the sidelines guesstimates that a 40-yard field goal would be about the max.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, get the ball. Need the ball, need the ball, need the ball. The Bomber offense did what they had to do to give them the opportunity here. Now it's up to number 7.
Kick it hard if you kick it.
Struggled at the start of the year. There are 4 men in the back of the end zone that will punt it out if Westwood misses. Here it is for the win. And Troy Westwood's got it. That's good. And there was never a doubt about the distance.
What's that, baby? We coming! Montreal! We coming, baby!
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers' improbable season continues.
What a great finish in Hamilton last week. There's an adage in sport that goes something like this. You've got to learn how to lose before you can win. Well, if that's true, then the Montreal Alouettes are due. They have gone to the Eastern Final 4 times and come up short all 4 times. Mark Lee has more on the Owls' playoff woes.
The doomsday clock ticks again for the Alouettes. 4 years in a row, it has struck 12 in the Eastern Final. Their misfortune motivates this team a 5th time around.
I've been more unfortunate than most. In 11 years, I've yet to make it to a Grey Cup, and that's something that I find difficult to deal with.
We've had some tough losses in the past. Like you said, it always comes down to the wire.
From an emotional standpoint, it's very difficult to take. It's far harder to take that kind of pain than the physical pain.
Their frustration began in 1996, right from the opening kickoff in a 43-7 loss to Toronto.
We didn't show up. Really didn't show up. Doug Flutie, they beat us pretty bad. The next year we went to Toronto and probably outplayed them. And there wasn't much time on the clock. They threw the ball to Clements, and Charlie and Tommy bounced off Clements. He ran 50 yards for a touchdown. Then we came to Hamilton, and we had just fought our way against the win. For a touchdown. Tracy had taken us right down the field and put us in the end zone. And we kicked off, and they threw one pass, and the guy lined up.
54 yards. He hit one like this in the warm-ups. Here's Osbaldiston. Lots of leg. It's good! By 1998, the Alouettes were beginning to feel cursed. Veterans began to feel their mortality, but hung on for one more season. Then, in 1999, the dying minutes, it happened again. 3rd and less than a yard. And McManus will pass deep to Joe Higgins. He's got it! A Hamilton 3rd down gamble sealed Montreal's fate. A 4th straight loss that still haunts the team today.
You know, those are pretty tough losses to take home on a 7-month off season. But the past is the past, and you can't dwell on it.
It has been tough. I was there for 2 years, and, you know, there's been guys that have gone through all 4 years of it, and it's not something that can be easily explained.
There's a few of us that have rings on this team, so hopefully we will take out onto the game field the experience and the desire to want to get to that next level and have the younger ones, you know, follow suit.
The guys that have been on this football team for the last 4 or 5 years, who have been to the Eastern Final 4 years in a row and lost, are carrying around I think the dark side to them, maybe a little black spot on their hearts, and until we get to the Grey Cup, that's always going to be there.
The Alouettes are 10-10 in the Eastern Final. The last time they went all the way and won the Grey Cup was back in 1977. 8 members on the Alouettes' current roster know what it's like to come so close and lose, including Mike Pringle and Jock Climbey. Now let's go back up to the booth and join Glenn and Mark.
Thanks a lot, Steve. This game features 2 outstanding young quarterbacks in Kahari Jones of Winnipeg and Anthony Calvillo of Montreal, both who've served their apprenticeships as backups in their first playoff season starting for their current teams. But might it be a factor today that Jones didn't throw until Thursday of this week because his throwing shoulder is injured?
Well, the question for Kahari Jones is, with that shoulder injury, can he throw the deep ball like he's done all season long? 10 passes from Kahari Jones have been over 50 yards. Calvillo is the surgeon. Would you compare the running games, Corey Philpott and Mike Pringle? Philpott, also injured, did not take a rep during the week. They need him to produce to give Kahari Jones a chance.
Yes, and Pringle has doubled the Winnipeg rushing numbers all year on defense. 2 old teammates at rush end, Swift Birch against Alfred Payton.
Yeah, well, Swift Birch for 3 years played in the shadow of Alfred Payton. He was the other end in that defense when Alfred Payton was a member of the Montreal Alouettes. This is his chance to show Alfred Payton that he's as good, if not better.
And Glenn, different approaches from the head coaches. Dave Ritchie loves being the underdog. Revenge is his motivation against his old team, Montreal. And Charlie Taft says, don't go there. Don't get into a war of words.
Yeah, Charlie Taft has been preaching discipline to his football team. Don't get sucked in. Dave Ritchie has been saying, hey, we're a bunch of renegades. Let's go play like wild dogs.
What do you make, though, of the emotional factor in a playoff game like this? Can it carry an underdog team?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing about playoff intensity. The emotion level is very high. I think with the Montreal Alouettes, they have to be concerned about being too high. This is a game they have to win. The pressure is on them, not Winnipeg.
Yes, 4 straight losses the Alouettes have endured in the Eastern Final. Can they break that jinx here today by winning it in their 5th straight year? And Dave Ritchie said, but for a few breaks this year, his team could be 13-5, but right now they are the underdogs by 10.5 points to Montreal. Steve?
Thank you, Mark. You know, we've talked a lot about the ill feeling, the bad blood between these two teams. The end result today could well be decided by the team that keeps its collective poise and stays cool.
Well, I think the team with the greatest amount of poise in this game will have a big impact on who ultimately wins the football game. And you know, when you start talking to the other team or about the other team, it really takes the focus off your own preparation. So we've talked about that as a team this week, and you know, we've been the least penalized team in the league this year. We've led the league in turnover margin. Those things I think will be critically important in the game, that we can come out of it the least penalized team in this game today, and then of course winning the turnover battle. Those are always key factors in championship level games.
As far as composure, I want them to be hostile, flat out mean, and get after it. And if they can hold their composure between that, because we got to do that. We're the underdogs. You ever watch Rocky? That's where we're coming from.
If the teams take their cues from the head coach, then this one will not be devoid of emotion. But when you stop to think about it, with a title on the line and a trip to the Grey Cup at stake, this one should be filled with emotional scenes like this. Harry Jones, he makes it work with a great core of receivers for the Bombers. And on the other side, it's Anthony Cavillo for the Owls. The game is next, the Eastern Final. Welcome back to Molson Stadium in Montreal. The scene is set. We're ready for the CFL's Eastern Final. The Owls trying to snap a 4-game final losing streak against the Bombers in their first final since '94. The weather absolutely perfect for a football game when you consider it's the middle of November. Overcast skies. We had snow early this morning, but the snow has been taken from the field. The playing conditions are great. It is 3 degrees Celsius. The wind not really a factor. This place is jammed in anticipation of a great Eastern Final. Guys?
Thank you, Steve. A huge crowd, a 19th sellout as we look at Dave Ritchie, his second season as head coach of the Blue Bombers after being fired by the Alouettes. He makes no bones about it. He still holds the grudge. He still doesn't talk to Alouettes President Jim Popp nor to President Larry Smith, and he says it's close today. Look out, Montreal. On the Montreal bench, Charlie Taff in his second season as head coach, succeeding Dave Ritchie. The pressure on his team today, and he said as a coach, a player, or a competitor, you live for a high-stakes game, and he has that today. Glenn, how about your game notes?
Well, first of all, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on offense, got to get some production out of Corey Philpott. Kahari Jones likes the deep ball. They need some running game to balance that out. And 8 in the box. I think the Winnipeg defense has to gamble against this Montreal O. For Montreal, be disciplined. Charlie Tapp does not want this team to get caught up in Winnipeg's talking. And on defense, prevent the long ball from Kahari Jones.
A glorious day, as Steve said, as we're set to kick it off. The 2000 Eastern Final, another capacity crowd, where scalpers were buying tickets outside the gate today, Steve, for $400. The Alouettes won the toss. They've deferred. Winnipeg will receive, and on the runway, it's Albert Johnson III across the 25 to the 30. He gets outside and is pushed out into his own bench inside the 40-yard line. So good field position for Winnipeg's opening drive, and here comes Kahari Jones, who has been simply fantastic over the last 6 games of the season, throwing 15 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions.
He needs some help from his running game, though. Corey Philpott did not take a rep all week in practice because of a groin injury. There's lethal weapon 4. And there's your offensive line, anchored by Dave Van Coney.
Yes, 2 key players, Jones and Philpott, nursing injuries coming into this huge championship game. Kahari Jones will pass. It's complete to Johnson across the 42. He beats a tackle. That was Baron Miles, and finally goes down on this slick turf. It snowed here this morning, Glenn. They shoveled it by hand, and then they brushed it. They've gotten the snow off, but it is a wet field.
Defensively for the Montreal Alouettes, for 3 years, Swift Birch played in the shadow of Alfred Payton. He has a chance to step out of that shadow here and show something this afternoon.
Just under 7 yards on that first down play. It is second and just over 3, Winnipeg. Jones, play action, has pressure. Gets it away, intended for Geroy Simon, but he couldn't catch it. Reed had pressure, though, on Jones.
Montreal Alouettes coming with a bit of a stunt up front from their middle linebacker, Stephon Reed. He's going to get into Jones' face and make him move around, use his feet to buy a little bit of time. He had Geroy Simon on the sideline, but again, the emotions, there's a lot of butterflies, a lot of intensity on the football field to start things out. You want to get out there and get your first hit so you can just relax and play football.
Tyree Davis and Thomas Haskins are back to return the first punt of the game from Troy Westwood. A spiraling kick that comes down to Davis across the 30-yard line, and he's hit hard. He dropped the ball. Fumble. The Blue Bombers say they have it, and it is Winnipeg ball. A huge turnover to start this game from the Alouettes.
Be careful when you give a hungry dog a bone, because Winnipeg Blue Bombers have nothing to lose and no pressure in this football game. Tyree Davis.
Yes, and don't forget that Winston October is not dressed today for the Alouettes. He's returned 2 punts for touchdowns and a missed field goal for another, but he has a hamstring injury. And they could have used him on that one.
Tyree Davis had that football out away from his body, and I'm sure Charlie Tapp will talk to him about that. Keep it in there. Turnover is going to be very important in this game.
First down at the 30 for Winnipeg. Deep. Intended for Albert Johnson. He's got it. Oh, what a big catch as the bomb squad strikes early for Winnipeg.
You know, the Montreal Alouettes are so pumped up, and they have so much to prove in this football game in front of their home fans. It's almost to a point where they need to settle down a little bit, because they were all over this throw to Albert Johnson, and they couldn't make the play.
24-yard pickup, Glenn. First and goal, Winnipeg at the Montreal 6-yard line.
That was a Smith sandwich right there.
The Alouettes led the league in turnover ratio, plus 19. A killer there. Here's Jones looking to the end zone. It's incomplete. Over a crowd. Close coverage. Sheldon Benoit back in the end zone on coverage from the middle linebacker position.
Robert Gordon, 4 games versus Montreal, averaging about 80 yards per game, but he had really no room. David Sanchez, the league leader in interceptions, right in his hip pocket.
Second down and goal. Blue Bombers at the 6. Kahari Jones straight back to pass into the end zone, wide open, touchdown, Milt Stegall for the Blue Bombers. Milt Stegall, who's been held to just 34 yards a game against this Alouette defense on a short corner route. Well, and the Bombers take the crowd out of the game early.
And there's the early dance. Mark Washington was in coverage on Milt Stegall, and of course Washington hasn't had a whole lot of playoff game experience.
Jones checking the lineup. They've got a problem. Appears to be too many men on the field. They've counted them up, and now a time count violation.
Time count violation. Winnipeg number 7.
It's not a bad penalty to take. Dave Mudge on the field, and he shouldn't have been. So he'll get off the field. They had too many men, so rather than get the penalty that would be applied on the kickoff, take the delay of game penalty, kick it from a little deeper.
So the bomb squad relishing their first strike. The point after, it was hit, I think, at the line of scrimmage, but it got over and through the uprights. And so the Blue Bombers dance their way to a 7-0 lead early in the East Final. Kahari Jones nursing a sore throwing shoulder. Didn't look too shabby on that last series. The touchdown pass to Milt Stiegel, his 16th of the year.
Yeah, Milt Stiegel just going to run the corner route, and it looked like Mark Washington was going to switch with his corner, Davis Sanchez, and he froze. And when he froze, Stiegel ran right by him.
Scoring drive quickly after Rio Wells stripped the ball from Tyree Davis. Just 3 plays to pay dirt for the Blue Bombers. Troy Westwood kicking off high. It's short. Coming down at the 33-yard line. And still going. Bruno Heppel has the ball, making the catch, breaking some tackles, and getting across midfield. A 25-yard return for the big fullback who missed the last game of the season with an injury.
Well, Bruno Heppel knows what to do with the football when he gets it in his hand. He is the fullback, and he catches that short kickoff and spins off the tackle right there. Winnipeg Blue Bombers don't wrap up on the tackle, and Bruno Heppel gets a little momentum back after Winnipeg took it all.
Tremendous field position for the first offensive series for the Alouettes at the Winnipeg 53-yard line. 3 receivers to the wide side, empty backfield. It'll be a hitch pass screen. Climby has it, but he's tackled immediately by Jerron Bolton.
Jerron Bolton just moved right up there.
Jock Climby, one of 2 1,000-yard receivers along with Ben Cahoon this season for the Alouettes. As we look at the backfield, Calvillo and Pringle simply superb this year. There's the receiving corps as Alexander, the rookie, gets the start ahead of Alfonso Browning, and the offensive line solid. Brian Chu having a tremendous season, and he is a free agent. 5 receiver set, 2nd down and 8. Calvillo straight back to pass. Lots of time. He'll air it out for Pringle. It's overthrown in the flats.
And again, that looks like nerves to me. The Montreal Alouettes have the pressure on them. They look a little bit nervous in this football game early. They had good coverage on defense in the first series and still let the ball be caught. And then on that pass, just a bad throw by Anthony Calvillo.
Glenn Calvillo's previous playoff start was 1996 against Hamilton. He threw 4 interceptions in that game in a 22-11 loss, but he's only thrown 5 all season. He has matured as a quarterback. Terry Baker standing back at his own 45-yard line. The number 2 punter in the CFL this year with a 46.3-yard average. Oh, that's a beauty. Angling it to Johnson at his own 3-yard line in the corner. Here's the coverage, and they've got him. Pett puts him down. Matt Pett making the tackle. A 47-yard punt and just a 6-yard return at the sellout in Montreal. Back in Montreal as Kahari Jones gets set to go to work again. First series, it was all Kahari. 5 passes, no running plays for the Blue Bombers. We talked about Philpott nursing a deep groin injury. He's yet to carry the ball. First down, Winnipeg, deep at their own 10. There's the pitch out. And Philpott running hard, hit hard across the 15-yard line. Looking good on his first carry, Glenn.
Yeah, when you talk about the injury to Corey Philpott and to Kahari Jones, you know one thing, it's playoff time, and then they'll numb the pain with some painkillers, and the adrenaline level is so high for both teams that they likely don't feel a thing right now.
Gain is 7. Philpott has the league record. 22 touchdowns in one season, set in 1995. He was out of football in 1998, working at his own pool hall. Play action, naked bootleg. Kahari Jones fools everybody, then slides into first for a first down.
What a great fake on Sylvester Miller. He gets caught right in on the play action. Pulled down by the good fake by Kahari Jones. Sylvester Miller right off the edge. Watch how he gets fooled by it. He gets sucked right in, thinks Corey Philpott has the football, and Kahari Jones is out to the outside for the first down.
And so 2 quick running plays, and the Bombers dig themselves out of their own goalposts. First down, Winnipeg. On the ground again, Philpott outside Sylvester Miller, this time running hard, and he's brought down very close to a first down. So Philpott running with authority.
I talked about Swift Birch coming out of the shadow of Alfred Payton, 9 sacks on the year, and really has had a tremendous season in that front four. Linebacking core, Kelly Wilshire was thrown out of the game the last time these two teams played in the regular season in late October, along with Milt Stegall. And there's the ball hockey secondary. They lead the league in interceptions with 31.
The gain was 10 on the play. Another first down for Winnipeg as they move the ball on the ground this time. Another running play. That's 4 in a row. The pitch to Philpott. This time, Sheldon Benoit, who was cut by the Blue Bombers at the 97 training camp, makes the tackle for Montreal.
A lot of the plays right now that Winnipeg are running are just designed to take advantage of the high level of emotion from the Montreal Alouettes. Play action to Corey Philpott. They're going to run the ball to keep him honest.
So after 5 straight passing plays in the first series, the Bombers have been on the ground 4 straight running plays. But now they have 5 receivers in the lineup. Empty backfield. 6 receivers now. Jones to pass, pumping across the middle. It's complete to Robert Gordon, and it looks like he'll have another Winnipeg first down. Gordon, who had 2 games over 100 yards receiving against Montreal this season.
One of the reasons that they run this kind of play with empty is to see what Montreal will do with it. Robert Gordon finds the hole in the zone, but the reason they run the play, see how they emptied out the backfield? No one back there behind Kahari Jones. The reason they do that is to see how Montreal will react to it. If they go to some more man, look for Corey Philpott to catch a football.
This young Winnipeg offense on a roll. Here comes Lester Smith on the blitz. They bat it down. It's caught, though, by Philpott on the deflection. And he'll have 3 or 4 yards on the return, but flags are down.
Well, Lester Smith tried to time it up. He got caught up in there. I'm not sure if he was offside or drawn offside from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but tried to time the blitz. He came running from the free safety position.
Offside. Winnipeg number 85. First down repeated.
So Milt Stegall charged with the offside offense. They'll move it back 5 yards.
Well, the reason Milt Stegall goes offside is because when he sees the safety blitz coming up there, it's his job to go right where the safety should be, right into the hole. He just got there a little early.
Right now, it's all Winnipeg on offense. 1st and 15, Blue Bombers. Kahari Jones straight back to pass. He'll throw again. It's complete to Robert Gordon. He steps out of bounds in front of Davis Sanchez for another Winnipeg first down. Sanchez giving him all kinds of room on the corner, Glenn.
Well, yeah, and right now they're just trying to feel things out with the Winnipeg offense, exactly what they're going to give him. Davis Sanchez looks back into the quarterback, and when he does, he loses sight of Robert Gordon. He's watching the quarterback the whole time, and usually when you do that as a DB, you might as well buy a ticket for the game.
17-yard gain for Gordon, the number 5 leading receiver in the CFL this year. Another first down for the Blue Bombers as they continue to move. They'll go on the ground. Philpott, huge hole, puts his head down, and he'll be close to another first down as Mark Washington made the tackle.
Great drive for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, even if they don't come away with any points, because it just got all that field position back that they had lost on the kick from Terry Baker. And it's a good drive because there's balance in the drive. We've seen a lot of Corey Philpott in this drive, some play action, and a couple of passes to Robert Gordon. So Kahari Jones, very effective with this drive.
Glenn, this big Bomber offensive line with the return of Eddie Blake at the right guard position. And, of course, big Brett McNeil of the left side, bloodied last week in the Eastern semifinal. They've been controlling the line of scrimmage.
No question about that. And Brett McNeil, what a story he is. Pretty much every injury you can have, he has.
7 first downs for the Bombers, none from Montreal so far in this game. Here's Jones back to pass, passing again. Stegall tries to one-hand it, and then Washington takes him down. It's incomplete.
First time that Mark Washington is one of the defensive backs for Montreal to actually come up and challenge one of these Winnipeg receivers. He was right on him, jamming him all the way down the field, and Stegall really just couldn't get enough room and couldn't get turned around. But it's because Mark Washington was physical with Milt Stegall. He got up there and he used his hands to try and stop him from getting off the ball.
The Bombers picked on Washington the last time they played. Simon had 2 touchdowns over him in 3 in total in the game. Second down and 10. Winnipeg. Lots of time in the pocket. A wobbly pass. It is intended for Johnson, and it looks like it will be a completion. Yes, he got back and caught it just before it hit the turf.
You know, one of the things you got to be happy about if you're a Winnipeg fan right now is that the Montreal defense is respecting the speed of the Winnipeg receivers so much. They're giving him a ton of room right now. And give credit to Winnipeg and Kahari Jones. He's calling plays to take advantage of that. He's calling the plays for the quick outs, the under patterns, everything short, knowing that Montreal has to respect that speed.
Yes, the first-year starter, Jones, is calling his own plays. Play action now. Jones throwing again for Stiegel. He's got it. Oh, climbing the ladder and catching that one on the fingertips. And it looks like he'll be close to another Winnipeg first down as they now move inside the Montreal 20.
Well, and great drive by Kahari Jones. And if you had any question about the shoulder, just look at that tight spiral. On a rope right to Milt Stiegel. In fact, it had so much on it, he had trouble handling it. He caught it the third time, and he'll be very close to the first down.
Irv Smith giving him all kinds of respect again, though. Look at the space.
Well, you really have to. I mean, even when you get down in the red zone, into the scoring zone, inside the 30, as a defensive back, you have to still give them a lot of room because of their speed, because the end zones are 20 yards deep.
Exactly. Kahari Jones, good on 7 of 10 attempts so far for 96 yards through the air.
But I tell you, if the Montreal secondary are going to win this football game, they're going to have to come up and challenge these receivers. They're going to have to say that they have confidence in their own ability.
Stiegel, the number 2 receiver in the CFL this season. It is 2nd and inches. Bombers. Jones will pass, looking to the end zone for Gordon. Oh, and Gordon's knocked out of bounds. It's incomplete. Davis Sanchez drilled him through the advertising billboard.
This is what Charlie Tapp has been preaching to this football team all week long, is discipline. Make sure you don't get fooled by any trick plays. Kahari Jones could have just run the ball for the first down. Instead, he tries to go over top, and Davis Sanchez was not fooled. He played it perfectly. He was right on Robert Gordon, and then didn't treat him with much respect afterwards, did he?
Exactly, and they had one in their hip pocket. It's now 3rd and inches. Bombers will gamble on the ground. Jones sneaking for the first down.
You saw that hit Kahari Jones took after the throw to Robert Gordon. That was right on that sore shoulder.
And there was talk, sorry Glenn, this week, Swift Birch indicating he didn't think that Jones could stand the heat this week.
There was a lot of talk going on, wasn't there? Between both teams, back and forth in newspapers and radio and television interviews.
In his first game as a starting quarterback, week 4 for Winnipeg, he passed for 449 yards and 3 touchdowns as Swift Birch looks on desperately. This defense trying to stop Winnipeg as they monopolize the clock and the ball. Jones back to pass in the air, too high again, double coverage on Robert Gordon.
Stephon Reed made the play. He got way underneath Robert Gordon. Mark Washington is covering him, but Stephon Reed showed some great speed to get that far to the sideline. He gets underneath the pass and made it impossible for Kahari Jones to get that one in there.
Charlie Taff can't believe it. His offense has been on the field once so far in this football game.
Boy, that time of possession, though, that really tells the story. One way to keep Pringle off the scoreboard, keep him off the field.
This is the 13th play of this drive. 2nd down and 10. Jones to the air again, rolling, pressure now, escapes it, will throw to the end zone, too high again, intended for Milt Stiegel as Washington takes him down.
And you know what, they're really starting to challenge those receivers now. Mark Washington physical with Milt Stiegel in the last 3 or 4 plays, and a blanket coverage from that Montreal secondary. Kahari Jones had nowhere to throw the football. He goes out there, he looks down the field, and once he breaks contain, and there's absolutely no place to throw that ball.
And so the Alouette secondary, as you say, Glenn, tightening up and forcing the Bombers now into a field goal situation. Stiegel having words with Washington. He was sparring before this match. This will be from the 22.5-yard line, and it's good. Troy Westwood puts the Bombers ahead 10-0 with 2:19 to play as Kahari Jones controls this game. Back in Montreal, Charlie Taft saying he had trouble sleeping last night. He calls the plays for Anthony Calvillo, and before this game early this morning was going through the game in his head, going through his ready list, making calls in his mind's eye, saying 20 seconds between plays in the CFL is not a lot of time to make up your mind.
Well, he's got his ready list in his hand. It's a sheet of paper, and he wants to memorize it so he can do it quicker.
Thomas Haskins at his 23 to return this kickoff, slips at the 30 and goes down immediately. A 7-yard return as Anthony Calvillo comes out on the field with 2:16 to go in the first quarter. Basically, he's been given 3 quarters of football with which to play.
Yeah, and he has to go back to what got him here, and that's Mike Pringle. He averaged 105 yards per game during the season.
Calvillo with a 62.5 percentage this year. That's a tall order, but he's been consistent.
They've already given up 1 turnover, so they're a -1 so far.
Mike Pringle, 5 out of 7 seasons, the leading rusher in the CFL. Will get the ball, puts his head down, runs hard into the right side of that Winnipeg defense. Pringle, who set a CFL record with 19 rushing touchdowns this year, and these are the men he'll face today.
Well, it's a 34 defense from Dave Ritchie up front, Benny Goods, Alfred Payton on the corners. Lamar McGreg's in that lineup. Would love to have a great game here, and Ron Warner's had a great game last week versus Hamilton. Tom Europe is the safety. Jerome Bolton has a knack for blocking kicks, and the Montreal Alouettes have had trouble defending against the block kick.
2nd and 8, Haskins in the game, 5 receivers. Oh! Benny Goods puts the lock on Calvillo. They'll call it an incomplete pass as it appeared Calvillo had his arm in the forward motion.
Yeah, he really did. He was attempting to throw that football, and Benny Goods just stripped it out of his hands, but it was going forward, which means it's an incomplete pass. But again, it's 2 and out for the Montreal Alouettes, and that time of possession just keeps mounting in the favor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Benny Goods came off the corner.
Another look at this. I think Montreal may have got a break. Oh, he did get it away at the last second.
Yeah, his arm was going forward.
Punt situation. Terry Baker has had 6 blocked this season. Jerome Bolton has 1. Albert Johnson III is on the runway to receive this punt. It's a low, wobbly punt, taking a bounce at the 45. Johnson picks it up and then goes down quickly as Matt Pett was headhunting on the punt cover. And so again, this vaunted Winnipeg offense gets ready to start.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by Tim Hortons, where lunch is a home-style soup and sandwich combo. Come home for lunch at Tim Hortons.
Anthony Calvillo in conversation with Ben Cahoon, his other 1,000-yard receiver, along with Pliny this year. But Calvillo clearly frustrated. 2 series and nothing to show for it yet in this game.
Well, he hasn't had the ball long enough. I mean, that's 2 and out both times. Kahari Jones with long drives is keeping the time of possession in favor of Winnipeg.
Jones pitch out. Corey Philpott wide side, following his blockers, breaks a tackle and then gets across center field. Philpott scampering for another first down, it looks like. Yes, indeed, first down, Winnipeg.
Well, he either doesn't feel the pain or he's playing through the pain. But Corey Philpott showed great speed to the outside there, and if this is a guy with a groin injury, can't tell.
He didn't practice at all this week leading up to this football game because he was in so much pain. What a game he's had so far in the first quarter. Time ticking now. This will be the last play of the opening quarter. Jones, quick drop, pass to Gordon. He's got it, then stumbles as he tries to turn underneath Davis Sanchez. The gain will be about 6 or 7 yards, and they will change ends. At the end of the first quarter, young Kahari Jones, his first season as a starter in the CFL, and he's looking calm and cool with a 10-0 advantage here over Montreal.
Early Earlier today here at Molson Stadium in Montreal, this was the scene. Lots of snow on the field. It snowed throughout much of the early morning hours. They did a great job to take the snow off, and this is the end result as we get set to start the second quarter here at Molson Stadium. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers in front of the Alouettes by a score of 10-0. Conditions are absolutely perfect. If anything, the field is just a little bit slippery, but not half as slippery as it was 2 weeks ago when the Alouettes took on the Argos. Guys?
Steve, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed that they shoveled this field by hand. Second down, 3. Bombers. Jones passing wide side. It's complete to Albert Johnson, and another Winnipeg first down as he goes out of bounds at his own bench. And Winnipeg first quarter.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers dominated. Just look at that. Right there. I mean, that's domination when you have the football that long in 1 quarter of play. 12 minutes.
Montreal with 4 offensive plays and 5 net yards in that first quarter.
Yeah, twice 2 and out.
Here come the Bombers again, threatening inside Montreal territory. 3 receivers to the wide side. Handoff back to the short side. Corey Philpott is gang tackled. Hit hard at the 40-yard line for a short gain of maybe 2 on the play.
You know, the way the Winnipeg Blue Bombers receiving corps are running routes right now, you think that they're setting up the Montreal defense for some out and ups, because right now they're doing everything underneath. A lot of outs, a lot of short curls. But this is an explosive receiving corps that love the deep ball. Look for them to run the double cuts very soon, meaning out and then back down the sideline.
Head coaches, a contrast today. Taft looking concerned. Ritchie, everything going well. Kahari Jones, second down and 8. Gets away from the rush. Here comes Miller from behind. Can't get him. Jones hit hard, short of the first down. It's Kelly Wiltshire making the tackle and then having words with Alfred Payton at the Winnipeg bench. Wiltshire, of course, one of the players ejected in that brawl. Payton having words this week saying he was upset with comments by Steve Charbonneau, who said when he was a premier player he could do a lot of talking, but considering his play this year, Alfred ought to shut up.
Well, he talked about a lot of quick outs and stuff from the Winnipeg receiving corps. This time they're going to head down the field. So you see the curl right there. Watch for them to go curl and go. As this game progresses, they're setting up the Montreal secondary.
43-yard field goal from Troy Westwood is good. Hitting that one right between the uprights, and it's all Winnipeg here in the first half. They lead Montreal 13-0. Montreal fans hoping this is finally the year that the Alouettes can win an Eastern Final. 5 straight years they've been in it, and they've lost it 4 in a row. Mike Pringle, one of 5 former Baltimore Stallions who have a Grey Cup ring on this team. Play action now. Calvillo rolling, passing. It's in and out of the hands of Kevin Alexander. A perfect pass hitting the rookie in the numbers.
Well, Kevin Alexander just flat out dropped the ball, but I'm really surprised that the Montreal offense is not going back to Mike Pringle. You just mentioned him, Mark, and Mike Pringle is the reason that they're in the final. Once again, that's just flat out dropped. A perfect pass from Calvillo. Pringle, in the 17 games he played this year, in 10 of them, he had 20 or more carries. In those games, he averaged 126 yards per game. You got to give the ball to Mike Pringle.
Haskins in for Heppel. 5 receivers set. Back to pass. Calvillo will throw wide side to Jock Climby. He makes the catch but can't escape Rio Wells, who makes the tackle at the 40. 5 yards short of the first down, and that's 3 series, 2 and out for the Alouette offense.
Well, and it's not characteristic of the way the Montreal Alouettes play football. They come in and they pound you in the middle with Mike Pringle until you get so worn down with it, then they throw it up over top of you. Mike Pringle is just not involved in this offense, which is a big surprise. By the way, in the 7 games where he didn't get 20 carries, his average dropped to 74 yards per game. So if Mike Pringle gets the ball over 20 times, basically Montreal wins the game.
Terry Baker to punt. Albert Johnson III, the lone bomber, back to receive. Here comes the block attempt. Baker gets it away, a high spiral, forcing Johnson back inside his 20 as he bellies back to the 16. Nowhere to go. great punt cover by the Alouettes on a 50-yard booming kick from Terry Baker, and no return to show for it in front of this quiet sellout crowd in Montreal. Back in Montreal, the unlikely playoff run of Winnipeg looking good, a 13-0 lead, and now Montreal will depend on their ball hawks.
Well, they have to get some big plays out of that secondary that were providing big plays all season long. 31 interceptions on the year. David Sanchez led the way, and they turned it into some points, too. 4 touchdowns. They desperately need a turnover here to get the crowd back into it and get some momentum.
Here's Jones, straight back to pass in the pocket, going deep. It's intercepted. Irv Smith has the ball for Montreal, and the ball hawks come through.
Well, they had to have a big play. Irv Smith, the veteran, provides it. Kahari Jones was hit after he threw that one.
Remember,
he hasn't got off the turf yet.
Remember, Birch was talking about Jones not being able to take the pounding. Maybe he knew more about that shoulder. But yes, this is a bad sign for Winnipeg as their quarterback is down, prone on the turf, and it's Montreal ball.
And the training staff was reaching under the shoulder pads to go to that shoulder area. It was the right shoulder, the arm that he's got lying on the ground. Here's Kahari Jones after delivering that pass. And he didn't get hit. You know what? It was the throw that injured him.
Wait a minute.
Backside.
Ed Villion from behind after the interception, taking out the quarterback.
And he wasn't prepared for the hit, and that's why it injured him. But he went right for those ribs. Now, Ed Villion, after the interception, has all the right in the world to get up and block the quarterback. In fact, the defensive line is told that when an interception happens, the quarterback's the guy who usually makes the tackle, so you got to make sure you block him.
So Kahari Jones is up and moving off the field under his own steam, but Brian Ayotte, the backup, warming up. He has no statistics this year, Glenn. No passes, no rushes. Montreal on offense, they go to the big man, Pringle, and he is chopped at the line of scrimmage.
Well, at the beginning of that play, I thought that maybe Kahari Jones hurt his arm by throwing that football, and that's why it was such an errant pass, but it was actually Ed Villion that got up late and is going to come from this side of your screen and put the hit right there on Kahari Jones, and he reached right for the rib cage. Now, that is a good sign, believe it or not, because he doesn't want to re-injure that shoulder on his passing arm.
Alouettes, 2nd and 10. After Pringle was stopped dead at the line of scrimmage. Rolling now. Calvillo throwing deep to the end zone, looking for Alexander, but he is shadowed by Rio Wells. Tremendous coverage on the corner.
Calvillo has taken a couple of big hits in this quick series that he's been in, and again, they're 2-0. That's the 4th straight time that Montreal just cannot generate a first down. You got to give credit to this defense, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, Calvillo was frustrated 1 year ago when he played 1 quarter in the East Final and could come up with but a field goal.
And, you know, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers aren't doing anything real fancy. That's Brian Clark coming off the edge late, but they're basically rushing with 4.
Terry Baker with a 35-yard field goal attempt. It's botched. Looked like they tried a fake. And they'll get nothing.
Well, I tell you what, you get a desperate team fired up and watch out. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers came in and no one expected them to do anything against such a powerful Montreal team. And right now, it has been all Bombers. They have all the momentum, and Montreal just can't stop the bleeding.
Ben Cahoon looked like he didn't. Yes, a bad hold.
Completely missed the tee.
Brandon Hamilton and Jerron Bolden are quick to make the tackle.
The snap was perfect.
Oh,
Ben Cahoon missed the tee completely, and Jerron Bolden throws him down. So Winnipeg not only gets the ball back, not only avoids any points against, but they also get pretty good field position.
Kahari Jones is back on the field at quarterback for the Blue Bombers. First down at the 40, handing off to Philpott. What a hole! A corridor right through the defense of Montreal, but there are flags down at the 47. A 13-yard carry by Philpott. But it may be coming back, and the indication is holding against the Blue Bombers. Here's Dave Ewell.
Holding, Winnipeg 65. First down repeated.
Oh, Alouettes. Eastern All-Star this year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers gets caught on the holding, and that was right at the point of attack, right? The hole that Corey Philpott ran through was right beside Mo Alouettes. So
the team that led the CFL in penalties gets a costly 10-yard penalty there. It is now 1st and 20. The ball spotted at the Winnipeg 30-yard line. 10 minutes to go in the first half. 13-0 Winnipeg. Shotgun formation, and the play is blown down. There are flags everywhere.
Well, this is going to be a no play. There's flags on the field, but again, they're going with Philpott.
Time count.
They're trying to see what Montreal is doing when they put Philpott in motion out of the backfield all the way to the wide side of the field, because if Stephon Reed leaves the linebacking core and goes and covers Corey Philpott, they're going to go deep to him.
Quarterback numbers, Jones dominating. It is 1st and 25 now as the crowd comes alive. Kahari Jones looked like he wanted to draw, and he's tripped up for another loss on the play. Ed Fillion jamming number 61, Eddie Blake.
Here's what I got to show you with this Corey Philpott motion they're trying to do. Corey Philpott is right here, right at the bottom of your screen. But see, this is Davis Sanchez, the corner. They didn't bring the linebacker out there to cover Corey Philpott. That's why Kahari Jones didn't see the defense he wanted and really just took the loss.
2nd down and 27. Blue Bombers moving back. Jones straight back to pass. Looking deep. Flush. He'll be sacked. It's Swift first with the scalp for Montreal.
Well, it's amazing that the Ben Cahoon botch snap can turn into a positive, really, for the Montreal Alouettes because of their defense. Winnipeg offensively just went backwards on that series. Mo Alouettes got the holding call to start things off, and he got a little away with a little holding there. Swift Birch didn't care. He got the sack anyway.
Yes, Winnipeg lost 20 yards on that drive. 3rd down and 30 with Westwood standing at his own 5. Tyree Davis is the lone man back to return this punt. Westwood hesitates, gets it away. It's caught by Irv Smith, short. No yards called. He was well within 5 yards of the other Bombers. Great field position. Just a 30-yard punt from Westwood and a 13-yard return from Irv Smith, who once again helps his offense out. First an interception, and now a big punt return for the veteran defensive back of Montreal.
Aaron Miles made a big play on that punt. Forced a bad kick from Troy Westwood. That set up Irv Smith's return.
Montreal at offense. Calvillo completes to Cahoon. He dropped the ball. He had it. Took a look over his shoulder as Rio Wells was bearing down and then let it go.
Well, this is good field position from Montreal. Look right down the hash mark here. This is right where Baron Miles provides the pressure, number 31. Troy Westwood feels that pressure. See him on the hash mark, and he's going to take another 3 or 4 steps. That forces the bad punt from Westwood. Irv Smith picks it up and has good field position. But now, can Montreal capitalize?
Alouettes perhaps feeling nerves. 4 previous series have been 2 and out. Here's Calvillo, 2nd and 10. Blitz from the outside. Calvillo down the middle. Complete to John Climby. Touchdown, Alouettes! The Alouettes strike on offense. Calvillo all popped up as he hits the veteran Jock Climby for his 6th touchdown catch of the season.
Winnipeg came with the blitz defensively, and really Anthony Calvillo had his choice between Jock Climby on one side and Kevin Alexander down the seam on the other. Both were wide open.
Jock Climby in his 11th season, never getting to a Grey Cup game. has contemplated retirement over the last 2 or 3 years. Says he's in the best shape he's been in the last few years, and he puts the Alouettes on the board and gives them some hope.
You know, some of the young players from Montreal, you could tell they were nervous. You could tell they had the butterflies, but it's the veterans on this football team that have been here before that have made the big plays. Irv Smith has made an interception and that good return to set up the field position, and then look how wide open the veteran Jack Climbing is right down the seam, taking advantage of the Winnipeg blitz. Harold Nash was waving. They were confused in that secondary trying to get lined up properly.
Climbing on the end of that touchdown pass. Calvillo's 28th of the season. He's only thrown 5 interceptions. And it's 13-7 Winnipeg. Lawyer out of Ottawa.
Let me give some credit to Marquette and Calvillo. He went on the quick count, and you can change up your snap count. Sometimes you can catch that blitz off guard, and I think that's what he did. Calvillo went on one.
They're dancing with thoughts of a cup in their mind here in Montreal. Not that cup. Here's Baker to kick it off. Albert Johnson has it at the 10, slips, then turns on the Jets, and then goes down for his own good. Tremendous pursuit. An 18-yard return by Johnson.
Oh, one more time. See the quick count by Anthony Calvillo. He went basically on first sound, and the Winnipeg blitz was not set up. They weren't lined up correctly, and they're battling again right down on the field.
And there's some pushing and shoving on the field right now as we look at that replay.
They got Montreal back in the game. A little bit of a wake-up call. Jack Climbing just rang the alarm clock for this football team.
Finally separate the players. There were at least, well, there were both teams, both defenses and offenses were on the field at one time. And they've broken it up.
What you call a bench-clearing brawl in football.
The brawl in Montreal. Wayne Weathers, the national team wrestler, in the thick of it.
Crowd's in it now.
Bombers with 5 receivers. Quick drop. Pressure. Jones tries to escape. Throws it. It's complete. Marcus Howell has it, then gets across the first down marker before being forced out of bounds at the 42-yard line.
Nice composure from Kahari Jones. He looked to the short side of the field first, but everyone was covered. See him look to his left. No one's there, but he keeps his composure, even though he's got pressure from Sylvester Miller all over him, and finds an open Marcus Howell on the sideline.
Howell, the local boy who grew up in Winnipeg, pretending to be Hall of Famer James Murphy, playing street football, gets a chance to wear the gold and blue, and a big catch here for the Bombers. First down, handoff up the middle. Philpott runs into trouble, then goes down at the 45-yard line for a gain of 3.
Well, that was a big play by Kahari Jones. Here's a guy with basically no playoff experience from the quarterback position in a big game with emotions running high. He has the presence of mind with Montreal, and with all the momentum of late, to step up there and throw that first down on the last play. That's a big play from a young quarterback, experience-wise.
Second down and 7, Bombers. Empty backfield. Straight back. Jones fakes, will run, puts his head down. Wiltshire waits for him at the 50. He won't get to the first down marker.
This is playoff football. Kahari Jones heads up in there and doesn't hook slide. Sacrifices his body to try and get a key first down for his football team and takes 2 pretty big hits in the process. But now's the time, this time of year, that every single player lays it on the line, and there's no hook slide from Kahari Jones there, and he takes a big hit from Kelly Wiltshire right on that sore shoulder.
And then Birch came in just to make sure he was down. Punt situation, Westwood, trouble, it's blocked. Wiltshire tries to get it, it goes by him. Spencer McLennan grabs it, flags are down. It looked like Baron Miles got in there again, Glenn.
Absolutely, it came from the same general area on the rush. Last time he forced a poor kick from Troy Westwood, and this time he actually got his hands on it.
Dave Ewell and his officials trying to sort it out. but it should be a no-yard situation as Spencer McLennan caught that punt from the Bombers.
No yards. Winnipeg number 18. First down.
Yeah, even though the ball was partially blocked, it did cross the line of scrimmage, which means the same punt rules apply. And until a Montreal Alouette touches the football, you've got to be within 5 yards. Can't be within 5 yards.
Baron Miles with a block and a hurry, and that's 2 no-yard situations against Winnipeg.
See, Troy Westwood has a problem getting the handle of that football early, and Baron Miles went vertical, horizontal, and vertical to block that one.
On the ground, Pringle hit in the backfield, spins off and keeps going. Second effort there.
Well, this is why I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of Pringle early in this game, because you know, he gets a few yards in the play, about 6-7 yards. Not a first down, but it was the way he did it that fires up his teammates. He breaks 3 or 4 tackles. See, he hits the line of scrimmage, breaks a tackle right there. That would have been a 2-yard loss. That's what fires up the rest of that offense, especially the offensive line.
Pringle buying his offensive line, new golf clubs, saying thanks for another big year. Second and short. No. Pringle hit hard at the line of scrimmage on the 2nd and 2 situation. And it looked like Payton was in there to make early contact.
Yeah, Alfred Payton hit him low. But it's a question of whether or not to gamble here. But this is what Mike Pringle and how important he is. Look at that. When they win, 163 yards a game, but he has to get 20 carries or more. Fans here in Montreal really wanted Charlie Taft to gamble in this situation.
Pringle, the second all-time leading rusher in the CFL, only behind George Reed.
Look at the intensity in his eyes.
Fired up. He won a ring in '95 with the Baltimore Stallions.
If it was up to him, he would carry this football team entirely on his shoulders.
Charlie Taft,
and he's
soliciting advice.
He's explaining to Taft right now, look, it's real simple. Just give me the thing as many times as you can.
They won't gamble. Baker will punt it away. It's a beauty into the end zone, forcing Albert Johnson to go back deep. There's no escaping this pursuit as Johnson goes out of touch for a punt single.
You know, it was too good. Terry Baker wanted to angle that to the sideline. He did not want that ball to go in the end zone.
So Terry Baker with his 10th single on a punt this year for Montreal. Dave Ritchie gives up a point, but the net on that punt was 7 yards as his team scrimmages on the 35-yard line. Play action, bumping, sack. Swift first with his 2nd sack of the game.
Corey Philpott went the wrong way, Mark.
Yes, a mix-up in the backfield. Watch that play for the Blue Bombers.
Montreal defense is starting to settle in now. They're starting to figure out exactly what Kahari Jones is trying to do to him. But you see, Corey Philpott was supposed to go the opposite way. When Kahari Jones came out of there from the center, he went to his right and held that football out there. Corey Philpott was right in front of him, and they actually collided and allowed Swift Birch to get home.
Birch blindsiding the Winnipeg quarterback for his 11th sack of the year. Second and real long. Winnipeg. Jones in the pocket. Screen pass to Philpott. Montreal waiting. Short gain as Stephon Reed makes the tackle for the Alouettes.
Stephon Reed has quietly made some big plays for this defense. Remember, early in the first quarter, he got underneath the pass and forced a field goal by Kahari Jones, and this time he just sniffs out this screen perfectly.
You know, as a young man, he was a skier who broke his back and was in a body cast for 6 months. Who would have thought he'd be playing pro football?
He drops on this side of the field and really sniffs it out.
Tyree Davis back to return this punt. Oh, another partial block off of Westwood, and it's Irv Smith again, and another no-yard situation for the Blue Bombers. Flags are down. A 19-yard punt from Westwood and a 3-yard return. Westwood having trouble after that beauty 45 yards into the wind in the last minute and a half of the Eastern semifinal.
Baron Miles set it up with that very first one, and then the kicker starts to look up. He starts to take a peek.
No yards. Winnipeg number 2. First down.
That's their third one, and the reason for the no yards is the partially blocked and the pressure, forcing Troy Westwood into some bad kicks. So special teams and defense for Montreal are really starting to pick up their play. Now, if their offense can catch fire, watch out.
Hey, he's on fire. Swift Birch with 2 sacks in the first half of this football game. Soft-spoken defensive end who's talking with his actions here today. First down, Alouettes. Calvillo passing. Flags are down. It was intended for Alexander, but he was hit, and it looks like Lamar McGriggs is the culprit for the Bombers.
Well, Lamar McGriggs is arguing that he was just defending his spot on the field. If you make contact with the receiver and the receiver's in front of you, you're allowed to do that, provided the football's not in the air. And it was. That ball was thrown on time from Anthony Calvillo, and right as the ball was released, Lamar McGriggs jammed Kevin Alexander. Here's the jam. That one's okay. That's the bad one, because the ball's already in the air. Not to mention the fact that McGriggs was not defending his ground. He actually left his area to go and push Kevin Alexander. So, no question that was a penalty despite the argument.
McGriggs cut by Ron Lancaster and the Tiger Cats earlier this season, finding new life in Winnipeg. Dave Ritchie says he's been outstanding. Not there. Pringle on the ground. Big hole for Mike Pringle. Still going. Finally tackled at the goal line. There you go. Yards on the ground for Pringle, and it's first and goal. Montreal at the 1. First and goal, Alouettes at the Winnipeg 1. 2:48 to go in the half. Calvillo handing off. Pringle head down. Touchdown, Alouettes. Crowd is standing at Molson Stadium as the Alouettes take the lead after being dormant in the first quarter, and it's Pringle who leads the way.
Well, they got some momentum from their defense and their special teams. A couple of partially blocked kicks, a couple of no yards called. That built the momentum, and then Mike Pringle capitalizes on that momentum with 2 huge runs.
The point after attempt from Terry Baker. The hold is good this time by Cahoon, and it's good. And with 2:42 to play, Montreal has the lead, 15-13 on Pringle's 20th touchdown of the year.
Well, this is just straight power from Mike Pringle, who, remember, moments ago was over there in Charlie Taft's ear, whispering, hand me the ball more often and we'll have success. And he just bowls Tom Europe right out of the line. Tom Europe, one of the hardest hitting safeties in the league, steps up there and just gets rejected from Mike Pringle. All of a sudden, it's a different ballgame.
Pringle saying before the game, the guys on this team who have rings, there are 5 former Stallions, need to lead the way. He's one of them, and he's doing it here now. Scoring drive, just 3 plays, 36 yards in less than a minute on the 1-yard plunge for pay dirt. And those touchdowns coming off of big miscues. Special teams punting problems for Westwood. And the big interception by Irv Smith. Huge for Montreal in the second quarter, helping to reignite this team that had been quiet early. Baker's kick is short. Johnson has it, then trips over the 25. Gets up, though. Flags are down. And Johnson will be tackled by Andre Bolduc across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. But flags are down on that 16-yard return by Johnson.
Yeah, it'll probably be an illegal block against Winnipeg. Montreal Alouettes flying all over the field down there.
Illegal block. Winnipeg number 30. First down.
Brad Yamioka with the illegal block for the Bombers. And they're going to take it back. It'll be first and 10 at the 20.
You just take a look at where this penalty occurs. First of all, Albert Johnson right there at the top of your screen. Brad Yamioka throws down Eric Reddick.
So you got him from behind, Glenn. Look at the penalties. The most penalized team in the league with 10. The least penalized team, Ryan 2 and the Alouettes with none. First down, Philpott on the ground. What a carry, sidestepping, then hauling the mail across the 30. And what looks like a first down. Yes, they're moving the sticks as Corey Philpott continues to rumble. That one 11 yards up the gut.
Well, this is an important drive for the offense for Winnipeg because they really need to respond to what now is all momentum for the Montreal Alouettes. Offense, defense, and special teams picking it up.
Yes, their 13-0 lead has evaporated as they trail 15-13. Little more than 2 minutes to go. Jones passing to the flats. Stiegel has it on close coverage from Mark Washington, and a short gain.
Got a little help out there from Kelly Wilshire as well. And, you know, Milt Stiegel's going to get a little more attention. In fact, Montreal Alouettes have done a pretty nice job through the regular season against Milt Stiegel. When you look at Milt Stiegel's numbers against every team, it's close to 100 per game, and then against Montreal, it drops to around 34.
2nd and 7. Bombers, Jones passing down the middle. It's complete to Robert Gordon. He makes a move, gets across midfield, and is finally hauled down across the 45 of Montreal as Kahari Jones converts on that 2nd and long.
Well, we talked about the importance of this drive for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to respond, and they already have. Again, field position so important in the playoffs, and they've got a whole bunch back. See the linebacking core get caught way upfield. Kelly Wilshire, Stephon Reed stepped up to respect that Kahari Jones may run. That opened up some room for Robert Gordon.
Bombers marching, handoff, Corey Philpott. Wow, he hit that hole with some speed. Tackled at about the 39-yard line for a gain of 5 on the play.
That's when Corey Philpott's at his best, when he hits it going downhill full speed, because then one arm tackle, he can run through that, and he's into that secondary in a hurry, and he's already putting together a pretty good day.
Philpott out of football in '98, one of 4 misfits on this team, along with Payton, Elawanibi, and McGriggs. All guys who were cut, given up on by other teams, have found a home with Dave Ritchie and the Blue Bombers. 2nd and 5. Jones with time in the pocket. 4 steamboats, 5. He'll roll right now, looking for more time, pointing at his receivers, throwing. It's complete. Stiegel has it across the 10 and finally forced out of bounds as the Montreal secondary just couldn't keep up their coverage.
Well, you can't. You can't. That's way too long, and I don't care how good you are in the defensive backfield, you cannot cover for that long. When Kahari Jones gets out here, Stiegel is up here, and he's going to slip in behind the coverage. But see, the defensive backs are caught in no man's land, because when do they come out of their coverage? You see Kahari Jones. Now, when do they come up and try and tackle him? And there it is right there. He comes up, tries to tackle him, and that's when Stiegel slips in behind him. It's very difficult when you break containment.
31-yard gain, 1st and goal, Bombers at the Montreal 8-yard line. Jones to throw for the end zone, looking for Johnson. It's incomplete.
Well, Alfonso Roundtree was late getting on the field. He hustled out there. Montreal wanted to go with the extra defensive back. He was late, got there just in time to jam Robert Gordon and take away Kahari Jones' #1 target.
Roundtree getting the start ahead of Mark Loftus and Winston October, 2 backup defenders. 2nd and goal from the 8. Bombers threatening, trailing by 2. A minute to go in the half. Jones into the end zone, double coverage, incomplete. Wow, a blanket on Milt Stiegel.
Lester Smith is a veteran at the free safety position, and he knew one thing. He knew that the coverage provided on Milt Stiegel was coming from a linebacker in Kelly Wilshire. So that means he's going to go and help on Kelly Wilshire. See, there's #1, and they're going to double him with Lester Smith. They know if you got a linebacker one-on-one against Stiegel, that's not a good matchup unless you get help from your safety, and Smith was right there.
Westwood attempting his 3rd field goal of the game. This one from the 16. It's down and good. 3 for 3. Troy Westwood, who struggled with his punting, he's simply perfect with his placements And now it's 16-15, the Bombers back in front.
Well, Mark, whether it was 3 or 7, I think it's a huge drive for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They respond to the Montreal touchdown. They slow down this momentum. There's only 50 seconds left in the half, and they regain the lead. That could be the drive of the game for them if they can win this football game in the end.
Dave Ritchie's team has controlled the clock with long drives. Montreal has had really one offensive threat.
You know, and the thing is, with 50 seconds left in the half, Calvillo can still move this ball down into field goal range at the very least. Winnipeg can't be too soft here.
Bombers still owning time of possession, 21-8. Calvillo throwing down the sidelines, intended for Tyree Davis, but over his head and incomplete with Brandon Hamilton close on the coverage.
Well, they're not going to give up a deep one, but Calvillo doesn't have to be impatient here. He's still got 45 seconds. He needs 4 or 5 first downs to put together, but he has plenty of time to do it. You know one thing, the Winnipeg secondary is going to back way off in this situation and not give up the deep ball. That's why Brandon Hamilton was so deep.
Calvillo only 3 for 9 in this game and 42 yards. Passing. They'll pass again, 2nd and long. Time across the middle. It's complete to Ben Cahoon. Cahoon puts his head down and drives across center field for an Alouette first down. Cahoon, there it is, 1,000-yard season.
That's what I'm talking about. Sorry, Mark. I'm talking about underneath, right? You don't have to be impatient. You don't have to go over top, because that secondary right here are going to drop way back here, and that's going to open up a room underneath that zone.
23 yards on the gain, first down. That pass appeared to be tipped, incomplete. Calvillo finding some interference in the pass rush from Winnipeg.
Jock Climbing was wide open underneath. You know, there's plenty of time for Calvillo, and really now he needs another first down and a half.
31.2 seconds on the clock until halftime here in Montreal.
Terry Baker's longest field goal on the season is 50 yards, so you really just need the 43-yard line.
Another 2nd and 10 situation for Calvillo. In the pocket, passing, tipped, no good. Looked like he was going to Pringle out of the backfield.
Brian Clark, really, he got 2 hands on that, should have had an interception. I think it surprised him a little bit.
Calvillo, who passed for 62.5% this year, struggling in the first half in the air for Montreal.
Yeah, and he's struggling in the first half because even though Pringle did have the 1 series, they haven't established him. And until you can establish Mike Pringle, you're really out of character if you're the Montreal passing game.
27.1 seconds to go until halftime. Punt situation, Baker gets it away. Short though, bouncing on the hop. Albert Johnson breaks a tackle at high speed and is clipped down at the 30-yard line, and there's more pushing and shoving and words after the contact in front of the Alouette bench.
Well, if you're Winnipeg Blue Bombers now with 17 seconds left in the half, you basically just get out of this half with the 1-point lead. You came into hostile territory at Molson Stadium. No one expected you to do anything, and here you have the lead at halftime. That's a huge victory for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Dave Ritchie has to be happy with the way this half has played out. His team leading by 1 point. His offense has been prolific. One concern, punting.
That's what they'll do. They'll just get everyone huddled up around Kahari Jones and just try and kill the rest of the clock in the first half.
Jones will take the knee. 15.7 seconds to go.
The only problem is, will he be able to kill the rest of it? They don't want to punt it away for one reason, because that'll give Montreal 1 play to line everyone on the line of scrimmage and try and block a punt. Remember, they've got their hands on 2 in this first half.
2nd and 11.
They'll be able to kill it now.
And Kahari Jones will take the knee, and that's the first half. A stirring half for the Blue Bombers, and a good rally in the second half for the Alouettes. But it's a 1-point lead for Winnipeg, and the underdogs in front. Down to Steve.
Thank you, Mark. I'm with the head coach of the Bombers, Dave Ritchie. Yeah, Dave, by my count, the momentum has shifted about a half a dozen times, but you seem to have got it back.
Basically, we had too many penalties on special teams, and we gave them about 5 short fields there, and we're lucky we're not way behind in this game right now. But our guys have played hard, came back. We didn't protect Kahari very well there in the second period. And basically we have to go back and regroup. But we can't give them those short fields we gave them.
Coach, good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much.
At one point, the Bombers were up by 13-0. They lead by a single point, heading to halftime here at Molson Stadium in Montreal, the Eastern Final. Best seat in the house. The stadium's full, and so the rooftops here at Molson Stadium. Winnipeg leads by 1 at the half. Right now, we're heading west to join Scott Russell and Mike, the coach, Pinball Clemens. Guys, take it away.
Yeah, Steve, those guys may have the best seat in the house there. We have the best seat in the house here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. There's a look at the stadium outside. It's 0 degrees Celsius. We, Mike, are in the nice heated indoor booth. Mike Pinball Clemens, the coach of the Toronto Argonauts. We're going to take a look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Montreal Alouettes. And Dave Ritchie, as you know, is an aggressive man. Wants to win the football game and will play to win, not just not to lose.
You know, and he said right from the onset that he wanted to play hostile. You know, the difference between these two games, these two teams in the last 3 games is 1.7 points. After 30 minutes, it's only 1 point. These two teams are true to form. Let's take a look at some of the things that happened in the first half. If we look at this punt on the screen, we'll find that it's a punt here, and it looks very innocent. Albert Johnson III, the best punt returner in the league, makes a return of about 10 yards. It looks very innocent. But as we look at the next play, we'll follow with a 2nd and inches aggressive play by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You see, they drove the ball all the way down the football field in this particular effort. And as we look again, this aggression here, we look at, they're constantly aggressive. We'll see here Jerron Bolden coming off the end, and as my screen goes crazy, we'll watch him come off the end. He's going on the blitz. Aggressiveness. Now, this time, aggression costs Winnipeg, and that's something you give up. When you're aggressive, sometimes it can cost you, and Montreal finds itself making its way back into the football game. And as we see Mike Pringle taking the handoff, they're starting to get something rolling here. Mike Pringle goes all the way down to the 1-yard line. Just an amazing running back, and as we continue to run the screen, we find that Winnipeg, though, answers. They come back. After Montreal comes back and takes the lead, Kahari Jones runs around in the pocket a little bit, gets adventurous. I like to call him Safari Jones. He's the tour guide of this team. He gets it down to Steven's brother, Milt Stegall, and it makes a big play, and they end up going in ahead at halftime. It's just a great effort.
Milt Stegall, I love that. Now, in the second half, the Montreal Alouettes have reestablished themselves, obviously. Now we've got a veteran quarterback in Anthony Calvillo against a relative newcomer in Kahari Jones. How do those characters respond?
You know, Anthony Calvillo, I believe, is the most valuable player of this team. Certainly Mike Pringle is the most outstanding player. Anthony Calvillo, the most valuable player. He's going to lead this team. And, you know, Safari Jones, he's going to be the tour guide for Winnipeg. It's going to be tight. They make big plays on Winnipeg.
Well, Pinball, you know the sun rises in the east, but it sets in the west. We'll have the Calgary Stampeders and the BC Lions later. Right now, back to Glenn Suter and Mark Lee, guys.
Thanks a lot, Scott. Leave it to the man with the best nickname in the CFL to be coming up with nicknames for everybody else. Thanks to Pinball and Scott in the West. Let's look at this first half. The Alouettes, terribly shaky in the first quarter, really didn't show up, and then came along really feasting on mistakes, short fields, miscues by the Bombers.
Yeah, they had the jitters early, the Montreal Alouettes did, when they started this football game, and Winnipeg took advantage of it, no question about that. Early in the game, we had a fumble right off the first punt by Tyree Davis. Tyree Davis drops that first punt by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and when he does, it gives a very desperate team in Winnipeg early momentum in the football game. And what do they do with that turnover? They capitalize on it with the touchdown to Milt Stegall from Safari Jones, who is in a jungle here at Molson Stadium, I guarantee you that. But that's the Stegall touchdown to capitalize off the fumble. Now, Montreal has struggled on offense. Anthony Calvillo is having a very bad afternoon, but you got to get Pringle involved more often. When they did in the first half, they had success. This was Pringle's run that set up the Montreal touchdown that gave them the lead at that point.
Yes, Pringle leading the way on the ground, bulldozing his way into the end zone for his 20th touchdown of the season. He holds the record with 19 on the ground during the regular season. Let's talk about penalties, though. This Winnipeg team, the most penalized club in the CFL, with 10 penalties in the first half. Montreal, none.
Yeah, Winnipeg has got to start to eliminate those penalties. They could come back to hurt them in the second half, and they have to take advantage of opportunities in the scoring zone. 3 for 3 for Troy Westwood's great. They need touchdowns when they get down there because Montreal is starting to get some momentum back.
Dave Ritchie talked about the short fields. He's got to get more punt production from Troy Westwood.
Well, no question, but it starts up front with the protection. Westwood has had guys in his face all game long, including Baron Miles, who's got his hand on a couple of punts. So if he gets some protection, he'll get some help.
Well, the Bombers' improbable playoff run continues. What a score. It's a 1-point margin here at the half of the East Final. Welcome back to Molson Stadium on the campus of McGill University as we go to the sidelines, and here's Steve Armitage with Charlie Taft.
Charlie, it took your team a while to get rolling. Was it nerves?
Well, the game started at 1 o'clock. We showed up about 1:30. But the good news is we're in the football game. That was as poor a first quarter as I think I've ever seen. But, you know, you don't dwell on that. It's a 30-minute football game now. We fought our way back into it. We're playing better. The game's out here to be decided. It'll come down to execution here, obviously, in the second half.
Are we going to see more Pringle in the second?
We're going to run our plays. Hopefully we'll be a little more consistent than we were early in the beginning.
Charlie, good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Troy Westwood set to kick it off here in the second half of this East Final. The visitors from Winnipeg leading 16-15 as Tyree Davis is back along with Thomas Haskins. Remember Davis dropping that opening punt, leading to that Stiegel touchdown in the first quarter. Westwood puts the ball into play, and we're underway in the second half. Haskins on the fly at his 25, up the hash mark, still going. Haskins outside, tries to get by. Troy Westwood straight arms the kicker, but Westwood hog-ties him and takes him out of bounds. Flags are down on the 37-yard return by Thomas Haskins.
Montreal got a good pep talk from Charlie Tabb at halftime because they come out over-aggressive. Thomas Haskins gives a straight arm to Troy Westwood right in the chops. And further down on the play, I believe it was Davis Sanchez was also involved.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg 19. First down.
Now the call goes against Rio Wells of the Blue Bombers. Unnecessary roughness. This year, the Bombers were called 27 times for unnecessary roughness.
Penalties continuing to hit the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but boy, the Montreal Alouettes came out of the halftime tunnel fired up.
We talked about penalties at the half, Glenn. That's 11 now to none for Montreal. First down. Montreal across the 35. Calvillo back, throwing deep. Tyree Davis is open. He can't hang on to it. It's incomplete as Brandon Hamilton somehow got it out.
Very, very close to screening. Brandon Hamilton is lucky in my mind that he did not get the penalty call. Tyree Davis was in behind him. Brandon Hamilton sticks up his hands. Now, does he look back? Whoa. I didn't think he did, at least not in time. The only thing is he didn't put his hands in Tyree Davis's face. He put them across his stomach. That's probably what the officials thought.
Ball perhaps could have been thrown a little deeper. 2nd and 10, movement on the Bomber line. Calvillo throwing. It's complete to Thomas Haskins. He's got the first down across the 20.
It was Alfred Payton on the edge. He got back, though, in time.
No flags on the play.
You know what happens sometimes, though, when defensively you jump off and then you get back, the rest of your defense is kind of waiting and looking for that flag and for the whistle, and they're not quite ready. Thomas Haskins takes advantage of it.
16-yard gain by Haskins, who'll go off, and Bruno Heppel, the fullback, comes back into the lineup for the Alouettes.
Yeah, because this is Pringle territory. This is where they get Bruno Heppel to lead block for Mike Pringle, and they just hand him the ball 3 or 4 times to finish his drive off.
1st and 10 on the Winnipeg 18, and you're right, Glenn, it's Pringle outside the tackle, breaks the tackle, head down, and with momentum out of bounds, close to a Montreal first down.
And they might as well just paint the field down here in the end zone. They paint one section in the end zone, and then from the 10-yard line to about the 30 on it, paint that the Pringle zone. Just paint it right in the field, because this is where they're just going to give him the football until he gets to the end zone. And it's awful tough to deny him that.
They're beating McGriggs and Bolden outside, 2 quick defenders. Second down and a yard to go. Calvillo with the sneak, and he'll have it tumbling behind his big offensive line for the necessary yardage. And so the Alouettes, who, as Charlie Taft said, didn't show up for the first half hour of this game, have started the second half with authority on offense.
I love the line. The game started at 1 and we showed up about 1:30, and it's true. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers dominated the first quarter. Montreal got a little momentum back in the second, but they've come out of the tunnel at halftime fired up.
First and goal, Alouettes at the Winnipeg 6-yard line. Calvillo back to pass in the end zone. No good. Intended for Mike Pringle. Broken up by Brandon Hamilton again.
Tried to catch Winnipeg looking in the backfield. Brandon Hamilton, the veteran out there, wasn't fooled. He's over here to the right of your screen and just going to break on that football when it's in the air. Now, had he seen it earlier, he might have had a chance to intercept it. He just gets a piece of Pringle. Pretty good timing from Brandon Hamilton to knock Pringle off.
And just as that ball was thrown, Lamar McGriggs pulled up, and he is on the field. It looks like he may have a problem with his left knee. He's in lots of discomfort. McGriggs, who was hired to replace Antonio Armstrong, the outstanding outside linebacker who wrecked his leg and is out for the season. Calvillo chatting with his coach Taft as the Bomber medics attend to Lamar McGriggs. McGriggs being helped to the sidelines. Let's go there now. Here's Steve.
Thank you, Mark. McGriggs actually hurt himself the play before that last one. He was able to stay in, but took a second hit on that left knee. They're helping him off now.
Donaldson in the game for McGriggs. Second and goal. Ball on the 6 of Winnipeg. Calvillo in the shotgun formation. Pringle in the backfield, motioning. He'll pass. No, he shows quarterback draw, and Benny Goods
nothing doing.
Bear hugs him.
Not a bad idea from the Montreal offense. With Winnipeg expecting pass 5 yards away from the goal line, why not try the quarterback draw? You know that Benny Goods has seen the movie before, though. And he gets past Pierre Bergeville, one of the best in the game, to make that big tackle.
And so a promising drive stalls at the 6. Pushed back for the loss, and it's a field goal attempt. Pringle perhaps should have gotten that call, Glenn.
No question. I mean, you're on the 5-yard line. Mike Pringle twice, you're in the end zone.
Field goal attempt from the 14 is good from Terry Baker, who has hit 75% of them this season. And he's got Montreal in front by 2 here early in the third. A look at the tail of the tape of these two quarterbacks here early in the second half, and it's been Kahari Jones dominating in the passing department. Look at the numbers, 14 of 23 for 181. Only 5 completions at 15 attempts for Anthony Calvillo, far below his 62.5% average for the regular season.
Well, all of a sudden, Anthony Calvillo is a drop-back passer on first down, something that Montreal hasn't done all year long. They've been a running team that sets up the pass through the run.
Here's Jones battling an injured throwing shoulder. He's been knocked a few times today. Drawn a Philpott. Oh, and the Alouette defense was waiting with open arms.
Stephon Reed is really having himself a game. And he's doing a lot of the little things that often go unnoticed. Just being in the right gap, making sure you're where you're supposed to be in every pass coverage that you're involved with, and then making a couple of key tackles, and he was involved there. Big play.
Tim Fleiser also having his way on the interior of that defensive line. The former Tiger Cat, Grey Cup champion, now playing for Montreal. Second and 12, Jones passing. It's intercepted. Stephon Reed has the ball for the Alouettes.
Mark, he's really having himself a game. And I've been watching him away from the football. Very disciplined. Taking the drops exactly where he's supposed to be on the football field all the time. And Stephon Reed right here is going to be right in the throwing lane, right where he's supposed to be. and he's done it all game long. He makes a nice tackle, he takes the drop, he's right where he's supposed to be, breaks on the football, and makes a huge play.
Alouettes take over at the 38 on the ground. Pringle sidesteps one tackler, still going. They finally gang up on him. At least a half a dozen Bombers bring the man down for a good run on first down.
Mark, sometimes as a coach and a coaching staff, I think you can start to outthink yourself a little bit. And I think, you know, coming into this game, Charlie Taft probably felt that the Winnipeg defense would be keyed up to stop Pringle. And so he starts passing the ball in the first half, something uncharacteristic to this offense. I think now it's starting to settle in. Pringle, before that carry, had just 7 carries. That was his 8th carry of the football game. That's not typical of this team.
8 yards on first down, make it 2nd and 2, Montreal. They go back to Pringle, outside the tackle, puts his head down. Wickman makes the grab, but Pringle has a first down.
And I don't want to belabor the point, but you go back to the time they're on the 5-yard line, their last series, first down on the 5-yard line going in, and they don't give the ball to Pringle twice. They throw it to him once to try and quarterback draw and end up with a field goal. I'm saying if you give the ball to 27 on the 5-yard line, I don't think there's enough Winnipeg defenders in the park that can stop him.
First down, Montreal, moving the sticks.
Jerron Bolden was a little late getting up from that pile, and the training staff comes out, then he's going to have to come out of the game for 3 plays, and they're on their way. He's had off and on knee problems all season long.
Well, McGriggs went off on the last series, and now Bolden.
He missed 4 games in the regular season because of that right knee. A couple of the games that he's played in, he's had to play with the knee brace.
Not a good sign as Jeff Fisher, the trainer, helps Bolden to the Winnipeg bench.
Whatever the project, with Mastercraft power tools, nothing can stand in your way. Mastercraft, it's tough stuff.
Welcome back to Molson Stadium.
Well, Rio Wells will now bounce out to the corner. That's where Jerron Bolden was playing, so Wells will now have to go to the other corner. They'll bring in Dave Donaldson to help out in the halfback spot.
1st and 10 at the 25 for Montreal. Deep into the end zone, incomplete, intended for the Fleet rookie, Kevin Alexander, but overthrown, and Calvillo was hit hard by Dayron McField after that pass.
You know, and while Rio Wells will line up in the corner, that time he moved into the halfback to cover Kevin Alexander, and that's been a matchup that's been Jerron Bolden's job all game long. Calvillo had to force the throw a little bit. Darren McField, in his first playoff game as a rookie, gets a little pressure.
2nd and 10 from the 25. Movement on the line of scrimmage. Flags are down. Calvillo rolling right. He'll throw to the sideline. It's complete to Ben Cahoon, who comes back inside and is hit hard, shy of the first down. But flags are down.
Because of what Ron Warner was trying to do, that's why he was offside. Whether or not he was drawn, Winnipeg thinks he was drawn offside. They'll discuss that. But Ron Warner wanted to make an inside move on Neil Fort.
Offside, Winnipeg 98. 2nd down and 2.
Yes, Ron Warner offside, and the penalties continue to mount for the Blue Bombers. The 8-yard carry.
He took an inside rush lane, and when he takes an inside rush lane, he's got to be quicker. Inside the running back, Mike Pringle. He goes inside there, but the reason he's offside is because he jumps the gun. He's got to get quicker if he's going to give up contain like that.
Spencer McLennan is now in at free safety on the 2nd and 5 situation. Rolling Calvillo, pressure, and he's sacked. Ron Warner and Benny Goods.
Well, you got to give this one, though, to Tom Europe. Because of the injury to Jerron Bolden, Tom Europe comes into the football game at the halfback, and he's going to be right over here covering on Jock Climbey on an out pattern. Spencer McLennan is now the safety. Tom Europe does not cover during the regular season very often, but look at the blanket he puts right there on Jock Climbey, and that's why Calvillo gets sacked.
34-yard field goal attempt now for Terry Baker. They botched one on the hold. This time Cahoon has it down. It's up, kicked, and good. And so the seesaw battle continues, but now the Alouettes opening some breathing room on the field goal by Baker. It's 21-16 Montreal in the third quarter. Back on the Montreal bench, Mike Pringle has calmed down, but moments ago he was furious, pacing on the bench. He'd thrown his helmet. He wants the ball, and Glenn, he's only had 9 carries in this game for 55 yards.
And you know what? I agree with him 100%. Give him the ball.
First down Bombers at their own 35. Jones, quick drop, pumps. He wants to go deep down the sideline. Johnson's open, but the ball is behind him.
That's what I was talking about early in the game. They run those quick outs. They run a lot of underneath patterns, and then pretty soon they run a pump fake from Kahari Jones, run an underneath pattern, then break it off and try and get in behind the Montreal secondary. But Irv Smith was pretty close. There's the pump fake. The ball just a little bit outside for Albert Johnson to run into it. He did have about 2 yards.
Well, it's a 2nd and 10 situation for the Bombers. Crowd now rising. Play action. Jones passing across the middle. It's intercepted. It's Stephon Reed again with his 2nd pick, and flags are down in the backfield.
The flag's going to be a late hit on Ed Fillion on Kahari Jones. Just a poor throw by Jones in behind the intended target. Stephon Reed again with the big play.
His 2nd interception of the game and in the entire year.
Unnecessary roughness. Montreal number 75. It was after the play. Interception stand.
That's the 2nd time Fillion's taken a shot at Jones. The first one was legal on the interception. This time, same situation, and he's upset with the call.
Well, he's upset because he felt that he was blocking. It's just a poor throw by Kahari Jones. It's in behind the target. With Geroy Simon, Stephon Reed is down. The late hit. This is why Ed Fillion is upset, because he thinks he's just blocking on an interception.
Yes.
Okay, but here's the interception now. The ball's been intercepted, and Stephon Reed was on the ground at that time.
All right, so it was after the play. That was the first penalty of the game for Montreal. Pringle asks for the ball, and he gets it. And he may have a first down up the gut.
There you go. Now, I'm going to say these stats one more time. When Mike Pringle, during the regular season, got 20 carries or more, he averaged 126 yards per carry, or per game. In the 7 games that he didn't get 20 carries, that dropped to 74 yards per game. He has got to see the football more than 20 times.
Well, he made his case on the sidelines, and he made his case up the middle. His 10th carry of the game. That one just shy of the first down marker. 65 yards on 10 carries, a 6.5-yard average.
When you look into his eyes, he can be persuasive, can he?
I'll tell you. You want the ball? Here, take it.
Have all the balls. You can have the whole bag of balls if you want.
2nd and inches. Lamar McGriggs is back in the game on defense. Quarterback sneak, and Calvillo will have it. First down, Montreal.
Bolden is not back in the football game, and what they have now is Dave Donaldson has had to move out to the corner, and they put Tom Europe back in at the free safety. Dave Donaldson all season long has played halfback. Don't be surprised to see Calvillo test him out.
First down on the ground. Pringle hit hard. Rylan Wickman, the rookie middle linebacker, puts Pringle down and then has a word with him.
I'm sure both Ben Cahoon and Tyree Davis will go back to that huddle, especially on this play, which is 2nd and long, and talk to Calvillo and say, listen, Dave Donaldson has played halfback and done a nice job at halfback for Winnipeg all year long, but he has not played corner. Let's see if we can't get in behind him. It's a pretty nice hit in the hole by Wickman.
Tremendous fill from the middle linebacker position. It's a loss of 1. Back to pass. Calvillo across the middle. It's complete to Chuck Climbey. And Climbey has a Montreal first down inside the 25 of Winnipeg.
Well, Calvillo Pringle gets the time up front to throw the football, and that's the big difference. Now that offensive line also starting to settle in a bit. Little move by Jock Climby to the inside, then breaks back across the middle, and there it is. Ben Cahoon beside Jock Climby, about 4 yards to the left of him, was also wide open.
Sure hands from Climby every time they've gone to him. He's put the clutch on the ball. First down, Montreal moving. Hand off Pringle, gaping hole up the middle. Pringle finally hauled down by Harold Nash, just shy of the first down marker.
Bruno Hippel made a nice block there. This is what happened the last couple of times that they've been in scoring range. Talking about Montreal, they tried the quarterback draw. That didn't work. They got outside. Good coverage by Tom Europe and a sack. Now what are they going to do this time down here with Mike Pringle, who's had to go to the sideline all of a sudden?
Looks like he was grabbing his hamstring, and he's really upset. Second and a little more than one as Pringle heads to the Montreal dressing room. Up the gut is Bruno Hippel subbing for Pringle, and it looks like they may be very close to having that first down.
Well, this is what they'll do with Pringle in the locker room. They put Thomas Haskins in at the tailback spot, and they're pretty comfortable with that. Haskins started one game during the year. Pringle missed the one game. So Haskins becomes the feature back, more of a speed guy to the outside, but he can be involved from the backfield in the passing game.
Here's the measurement.
That's two back-to-back good plays by Bruno Hippel. I'll tell you why. To get him down there and a chance to get that first down, he made the key block for Pringle on the play that he was injured. And then he picks up the first down himself.
Hippel with the first down. There were rumors in Montreal that a phone call went out to Michael Souls at one point in the season, talking about trying to get him out of retirement. He didn't come back. Here's Haskins up the gut. Lots of room as he slashes through the middle of that Winnipeg defense to the 5.
The Winnipeg defense were standing at home plate, and they were batting. They just got a curveball from Thomas Haskins, because all game long now it's been the Pringle, the power of Pringle when he has touched the football. Now they've got the speed of Haskins. It's a change-up for the Winnipeg defense.
Second down and 2. Ball on the 6-yard line. And now there's a bomber down at the 10.
Jerron Bolden came back into the game 2 plays ago. He seems to be okay. Now this looks like Rylan Wickman.
The late whistle, Glenn, as the Alouettes were getting ready to come over the ball.
Well, there was some boos in the crowd because some feel that maybe this was orchestrated.
Trying to cool off the Alouette offense, perhaps. It is Wickman on the field.
Well, you know, and that's just the old strategy that if you don't have the right defense called, rather than blow a timeout, you have one player go down and take a knee. The only problem is he has to come out for 3 plays now.
Yes, the Bombers' leading tackler is down. Rylan Wickman. We're back right after this.
Mastercraft tools can make even the biggest weekend project seem like a ride in the park. Mastercraft. It's tough stuff.
Worried posture of Dave Ritchie. He's had 3 key defensive players go down here in the second half. McGriggs, Bolden, and now Wickman, the middle linebacker, who looks like he's really hurt.
No, that's not a faked injury. He's definitely not putting any weight on his left leg. Here goes your leading tackler. Now, Jerron Bolden has come back into the football game. He was injured earlier.
Wayne Weathers is the backup linebacker, number 99, a third-year man out of the University of Manitoba, known for his wrestling accolades, one of the top wrestlers in Canadian university sport.
He comes into the game, and Lamar McGriggs was the other injured Bomber on defense. He's also back in there. So really the only change-up now is they have Weathers in for Wickman, but they still have Dave Donaldson on the corner.
Second and 2, ball on the 6. Calviel handing off to Haskins outside. Touchdown, Alouettes! Thomas Haskins with only his second rushing touchdown of the season, and it's a big one now as Montreal opens the big lead.
Well, it could have been Mike Pringle, Thomas Haskins. We showed you what the Montreal Alouettes had done when they were down in the scoring zone. They tried to throw the football and run a quarterback draw. Give it to your two tailbacks, whether it be the speed of Haskins or the power of Pringle inside the 10. They're going to get it done for you.
Point after by Terry Baker. Cahoon with the spot. It's up and good. With 3:50 to play in the third quarter of this East Final, the Alouettes lead the Blue Bombers 28-16. With the touchdown, and he went right to the bench, and they tightened up those shoulder pads. He's battening down the hatches if he has to go the rest of the way for Pringle.
Look at the Gladiators equipment. I don't know if they're going to be able to get that jersey over his shoulder pads.
Terry Baker's kickoff. Marcus Howell at the 21 looks for a block. Still going. Howell with some open field. Finally hauled down by Bull Duke from behind, but he gets to midfield on a 32-yard return.
Well, this drive for Montreal started with the big interception, probably the 5th or 6th big play from linebacker Stephon Reed. That got it going.
And Jock Climby with his second big catch. Back to the ground, and Pringle rumbling hard.
Pringle gets injured on that play, but it's Haskins for the touchdown, and they're starting to get a little balance in their offense now, involving the run a little bit more, even though Pringle is still in the locker room.
Montreal with 10 points off of Bomber turnovers in this football game. First down, pitch out, Philpott right side following Eddie Blake, hurdling, still on his feet, finally wrestled down across center field for a short gain of about 4.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers aren't panicking at this point. They don't have to put the ball up every single play. They can stick with their game plan, and their game plan had Corey Philpott involved. Put together a good first half. They haven't seen the ball as much in this second half offensively, and that's been the difference.
Second and long, about 7 for the Bombers. Tremendous field position, though, as they start this drive. 2:50 to go in the third quarter. Play action now. Kahari Jones to the sideline. It's high, incomplete, intended for Robert Gordon, and he's hit hard as he made contact with that ball.
Davis Sanchez timed it perfectly. Came back on the out pattern and gave the two-hander to Robert Gordon in the back. Here's the out for you. Sanchez reads it, comes back. That two-hander in the middle of the back just got the ball out of there in time.
So far, Jones 0 for 4 and 2 interceptions passing.
Ed Fillion's getting up close and personal.
Westwood.
Harry Jones.
Yes, here's Fillon taking a breather. As Westwood gets set to make his first punt of the second half, he had punts of 19 and 21 yards in the second quarter. He's going to angle it, another short shank. It'll bounce out of bounds just across the 35-yard line. They'll mark it at about the 32.
Baron Miles is messing with Troy Westwood's head right now, because that's just a 20-yard punt, and Westwood basically had to run away from the pressure this time. The pressure early in the game is now affecting Westwood in the second half.
So Miles getting into the head of Westwood. A reminder coming up, it's the West Final. BC at Calgary at McMahon Stadium as Alan Pitts and the Stampeders try to get to the Grey Cup that their city will host 1 week from today. Coming right up at about 4 Eastern. First down, Alouettes at their own 32, play action. Calvillo passing, it's intercepted by Jerron Bolden. Bolden returning the ball down the sidelines, finally forced out of touch at the 23. He was injured, he got up, and won a big pick.
Jock Climby wants a penalty. The crowd here wants a penalty on Jerron Bolden. Bolden was covering Climby on a crossing pattern. He gave him a little hand chuck just before that ball arrived, and he got away with it. Climby is trying to cross the middle of the field. A little hand chuck from Jerron Bolden. He got away with it. And comes up with the interception when Climby goes down.
20-yard return. Another look in super slow motion. Climby hitting the turf. 5 receiver set as the Bombers go back on offense. Kahari Jones throwing into the corner. Incomplete and underthrown, intended for Robert Gordon.
I think the coverage fooled Kahari Jones. Mike Pringle just coming out of the locker room for Montreal, and that's why the crowd's cheering. Two big plays in a row for Montreal. One by Sanchez on the coverage, the other with Pringle walking out of the locker room.
Yes, a huge lift on that Montreal bench. He clutched his hamstring as he left the game. Testing it now on the bench. Second down and 10. Blue Bombers. Ball on the 27th. Jones straight back. Time in the pocket across the middle. It's complete. Philpott fumbles. Ball still loose. And it looks like Philpott may have reached out and gotten the ball back in time.
Well, that's a big recovery, because if Philpott drops the football there, which he does, and Montreal recovers, it takes away their field goal opportunity. You know, with the turnover from Deron Bolden, you got to come away with some kind of points. That ball was definitely out of there in time. Stephon Reed again, the man on in the spot.
So Westwood's field goal attempt will come from the 29. 3 for 3. Westwood has been perfect. Field goals. It's up and wide. He missed it. Right for a point.
That's a big win for the Montreal Alouettes. The turnover from Deron Bolden gave Winnipeg a little bit of momentum. They can't capitalize again. Stephon Reed is the guy defensively that comes up with the key play, forces a field goal, and then Westwood misses it. A moral victory for the Winnipeg or Montreal Alouettes.
So the hero of the Eastern semifinal, missing his first in 4 attempts from 29.
If Montreal wins this football game, Mark, Winnipeg will go back and they'll look at it and they'll say, 4 times we were inside the 30-yard line, came away with field goal attempts. Can't do that against good football teams.
No, Richie shakes his head in agreement. His team trailing by 11. First down, Montreal at the 35. On the ground, Haskins still carrying the ball, still going, breaking a couple of tackles, and then mobbed by Europe and Bolden and 3 others. Crowd calling for a flag. They won't get it.
Well, that's the one thing that you know has happened in this game that we haven't talked a whole lot about, but it's been there, and that's been how physical the game has been.
And Pringle is still on the sidelines working on that leg. Haskins staying in as the starting tailback.
There goes Bolden.
And Bolden is back out. Injured early in the first part of the third quarter. Had the big interception, now back on the bench. 2nd and 5. Alouettes, Calvillo to throw. It's incomplete. Intended for Tyree Davis, and again, Brandon Hamilton draped all over him like a cheap suit. And that's it for the third quarter. 15 minutes to play for the East Final as Stephon Reed and Anthony Calvillo take Montreal to an 11-point lead. Welcome back to Molson Stadium in Montreal, where the hometown Alouettes are 1 quarter of football away from making it to the 88th Grey Cup, trying to break this streak of losses in the Eastern Final. And there's a live shot of McMahon Stadium on a sunny Big Sky day in the West. Coming up, part 2, the Western Final, the BC Lions at the Calgary Stampeders. And in the third quarter of this football game, Montreal had 7 first downs to none for Winnipeg. Punt situation, spiral, line drive from Baker. It drives Johnson inside his 30, tries to go outside, hit hard by who else but Stephon Reed at the 42-yard line.
Well, you mentioned 7 first downs for Montreal, 0 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in that third quarter, and then that time of possession stat, that one starts to balance out because of the first downs from Montreal. And the reason they're doing it, they're getting the run game involved more. Yes. Those rushing stats starting to add up a little bit for Montreal. In fact, they have the edge, 95-77.
Mike Pringle back from the locker room after leaving with what appears to be a hamstring injury. He's been running up and down the Alouette sideline, testing it out as the Bombers go to work on offense. First down at their own 42. Jones, quick drop. Wide side, incomplete. Intended for Marcus Howell, but it was behind him.
You know what? Jones didn't get the handle, I don't think, from the center. Dave Van Konen snapped that one. Looked like he kind of juggled it and then had to try and throw the quick passing game. He's trying to keep his hands warm out there. The temperature has slowly dropped here as this game has progressed. Van Konen gave him the good snap, but he juggled it and then couldn't get the quick passing game out there.
Quarterback likes to get the ball up on the stitches. As you mentioned, Glenn, he's only got one grip when he throws a quick pitch like that. Only one completion for Kahari Jones in the second half. Back again, 2nd and 10, lots of time down the middle. Intended for G-Roy Simon, incomplete. Too far with Lester Smith watching him step for step.
Basically, what they wanted to do offensively was have Milt Stegall go down the hash mark and hopefully influence the safety Lester Smith. If Lester Smith goes with Stegall, then G-Roy Simon should be wide open. See, what's going to happen is Stegall's over here to the right. Smith takes a step to him, but then has the speed to recover and get back on G-Roy Simon.
G-Roy Simon with 159 yards and 3 touchdowns the last time Winnipeg played Montreal. This time a good punt from Westwood. Deep to Tyree Davis. It is 26. Flags are down. Davis on the sideline, finally forced out a touch across the 35-yard line.
Matt Petz got in there, but he didn't get his hand on the football. He selled out to try and block that punt. He didn't get his hands on the football, and he did hit the kicker.
Montreal 91, first down.
Yes, Matt Petz contacting Troy Westwood. And so it is a Montreal, or rather a Winnipeg, first down. As the rookie out of Wake Forest.
Well, you know, if there's a good penalty, it's a good penalty, 91 right there, because he's just going full-out effort to try and block the kick. He had a chance at it.
An Academy Award, Glenn.
Yeah, well, he rolled on the leg, and he didn't get a piece of the football. So, you know, that's one of those good penalties, because you can't really coach against that. You got to tell the guys to go all out.
First down, Winnipeg at their own 52-yard line. 13 and a half minutes to go in regulation time. They're down by 11. Philpott up the gut. Nowhere to go as he's swarmed by a host of Montreal tacklers.
Stephon Reed is also becoming a vocal leader in this game. You look at him in that pile, just slapping every one of his teammates on the helmet. He's getting them all fired up. He was involved in stopping that run on first down. Well, he has been all over the football field here this afternoon, and he was right in the middle of this stop. You see number 47 turning Corey Philpott away.
And there's an injured Bomber at midfield, and it looks like it could be Philpott, who didn't practice all week because of that groin injury. Had been superb in the first half, Glenn, and now he's down, and they're holding onto his right leg below the knee.
You know, we haven't seen a lot of those dramatic hits, the ones where a receiver's over the middle and just gets helicoptered, but this has been a very physical game in the trenches. It's been a very physical game between receivers and defensive backs. How many Winnipeg Blue Bombers have now been carted off?
Yes, the game was billed as the brawl in Montreal, the Thrilla in McGilla, and for the most part, they've kept it legal. Oh, Wiltshire coming in late.
He just had the whole pile. There's about 2 tons there. Just fell on the legs of Corey Philpott.
Irv Smith, Wiltshire, saying it was innocent. And Philpott is up and walking gingerly to the Bomber bench. It'll be 2nd and 8, Winnipeg, at their own 54-yard line as Philpott goes off and Pringle continues to stretch his hamstrings on the Montreal bench.
Yeah, part of the problem for Pringle, if it is a hamstring, said Pringle, it's starting to drop temperature-wise. He's got to keep it warm on the sideline.
What a flip from the first half to the second as Montreal dominates. 2nd down. 8. Winnipeg at their own 54, shotgun formation. 6 receiver set. Jones with time will throw to the wide side. It's wobbly, but there Marcus Howell has it and steps out of bounds with a Winnipeg first down.
It's working underneath in the zone coverage from Montreal.
A 13-yard gain.
You see Robert Gordon is on a crossing route here, and Howell runs the out. Really, Kahari Jones has his choice between both players. There goes Gordon underneath. He's wide open in the middle of the field. He elects to go to the outside.
6-receiver set as Jamie Stoddard comes in for the Bombers. First down. They're going to the air. Deep. Intended for Howell. Or rather Johnson, and it's incomplete as he only got one hand on it.
Lester Smith, the safety, is lining up to the wide side of the field. He's really giving up the backside, and that's why Kahari Jones wanted to go back there. Lester Smith is really moving to this side, so that's when you go back to the backside post, and that's what Kahari Jones is looking at. Watch Smith start to drift this way. See him drift back over to the middle? It's farther for him to get back there to the backside of the field. Had that ball been down a little lower, he has a completion.
2nd and 10. Another 6-receiver set for the Bombers. Jones, there's the rush, gets it away, tipped. No good, flags are down. Gordon was the intended receiver on coverage from Stephon Reed. But flags are down at the 40.
Yeah, and Davis Sanchez, it's a big reason for that starting. Now they're talking to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, which would indicate that Montreal got the penalty.
Here's Dave Ewell with the call.
Forward pass interference. Montreal 43. First down.
Tim Fleiser called for interference.
I didn't see that penalty on the live action.
Or actually, it's Jason Richards.
But when a lineman is called for interference, it's likely grabbing a back or a receiver out of the backfield.
Richards wearing 93 as well as 43. First down. Bombers. Jones going deep to the end zone. Double coverage. It's incomplete. Milt Stegall was the intended receiver. He's looking for a flag.
And he's not going to get one, and he should. Mark Washington was in perfect position, looked back to the football, and just really denied the ball to Milt Stegall. Stegall was trying to fight over the back of Washington, but watch the great position he has. Inside, little hand movement there. Now look, back to the football, and don't let Stegall get back to it. Put yourself between the ball and the quarterback. Mark Washington can't play it any better against the best slot back in Canadian football, Milt Stegall.
2nd and 10. It's a track meet now. 11:24 to go. Kahari Jones passing, looking. It's complete. Stoddard has it.
Whoa,
very close to a first down.
What a catch. Where are they going to mark it? Getting a Montreal, really a Montreal mark. On the opposite side of the field, Robert Gordon was also open. He's open on the curl here. Stoddard's going to catch this curl here and take a big hit. He curls up right there at the 20. He takes a big hit and hangs on, but he had to come back for it. I think Winnipeg's going to go.
3rd down and 1. And the Bombers are gambling. Ball on the 24 of the Alouettes. Jones dropping back to pass. He'll throw it. It's complete to Leroy Simon for a first down.
Got to live on the edge, baby.
Oh.
You got to live on the edge. Give credit to Dave Ritchie.
That's Simon's first catch of the football game.
Yeah, but this call, you've got to have, I mean, wow. Oh, my goodness. 3rd down. There's 10 minutes left in this football game. There is plenty of time for a whole bunch more possession if your defense can play. Dave Ritchie knows 2 things. He's had some injuries on defense. They're starting to bend a little bit. He's got to make it happen right now.
Reminded me of the special last year when McManus threw to Higgins on a 3rd and 1. Back to pass, Jones into the end zone. Incomplete. Robert Gordon, the intended receiver, and it was way too far.
You know what? He had him. Milt Stegall influenced the safety, Lester Smith, a little bit. He came across the middle, and when Smith jumped the short one, that gave Robert Gordon room in behind. Just couldn't quite complete that one. Kahari Jones just overthrows it a little bit, and guess who's back in his face? Ed Villiard.
He had Alfonso Roundtree scorched on that one. 2nd and 10. Ball on the 18. Bombers need one here. to get back in it. Jones in the shotgun, looking to the end zone again. It's intercepted. Oh, my goodness.
Lester Smith baited him perfectly.
The Ballhawks come to the fore again. Lester Smith with his 9th hit of the season. And the 4th interception for the Ballhawks of this game to snuff a Winnipeg drive. Kahari Jones throwing his 4th interception of this Eastern final, and that was a tough one, killing what looked like a threatening drive.
Watch safety Lester Smith play this perfectly. He's got 2 seam patterns, one there and one there from Stiegel. He plays it and he makes Kahari Jones feel like he's going to the field side seam. This one over to the right, then he breaks on the football. Kahari Jones doesn't believe he can get there, but he does.
Mike Pringle back in the lineup at tailback for the Alouettes. He gets the ball outside the tackle, running hard, finally brought down at about the 33-yard line. It looks like the hamstring is holding up for Pringle.
Remember early in the first quarter, Mark, we talked about an interception is what Montreal needed. Well, they got a bunch of them. Irv Smith started. There was Stephon Reed. That was his 2nd right there. And then that last one by Lester Smith, maybe the biggest.
Gain was 8 by Pringle on the 1st down carry. 2nd and 2, Alouettes. Handoff, Pringle again. He'll have the 1st down.
Montreal hangs on to win this football game. They can go and thank their defense and their special teams. Defensively, they have really done a job after the first quarter when they started to settle in on Kahari Jones. 4 interceptions.
But Pringle leads the game after 2 carries in the 1st down. The bench on the Bomber side is awfully quiet. Haskins in a tailback for Pringle. 1st down, Alouettes. Calvillo back to pass. Deep far side for Climby. It's too far with Harold Nash covering for Winnipeg.
You know, and a lot of people right now may be wondering why Anthony Calvillo won't go after an inexperienced corner in Dave Donaldson, a guy who hasn't played out there a whole lot. But in Montreal's offensive scheme, they don't necessarily pick on different personnel. They don't try and really go for those personnel matchups. They take their reads and they throw the ball where the read takes it.
Gordon pensive on the Bomber bench. 2nd and 10. Calvillo back in the pocket. It's complete to Bruno Heppel as he reaches for the 1st down marker. He'll be short by about 2.
Well, good news for Winnipeg. The guy that scooped that up, even though it wasn't a fumble, was Ryland Wickman, so he's back in the football game.
So a very physical football game, taking a toll on both sides of the ball.
Well, Kahari Jones will get a chance with the football again. Lamar McGriggs, he was injured early. He's back. Wickman right there, 55, picked up that ball after it was on the ground, and he's back. So getting some of their injured guys back, but you know they're playing through some pain right now.
Albert Johnson III on the runway. It's 3rd and 2. Punt. Baker gets it away, angling it to the wide side. He'll make Johnson chase it. It bounces across the 5, and it'll stop right there. Flags are down as Darren Joseph was inside the restraining zone. It looks like no yards will be called against the Alouettes, helping Winnipeg with field position when we come back.
Shake your booty.
Hey, that man,
Shake your booty.
That man well insulated and enjoying this one as the Alouettes lead at 28-17.
He's got to have a little antifreeze in him.
Ed Fillion has put a licking on Kahari Jones in this 2nd half. Jones has completed just 4 of 15 passes for 35 yards and thrown 3 interceptions. It's Fillion inside his head. Shotgun formation, 1st down. The Bombers declined the no-yards penalty because of a 7-yard return. They're deep, though. Throwing deep, intended for Gordon. Tries to come back for it. It's incomplete.
Well, you wonder if the hits from Ed Fillion early in the game are taking its toll on Kahari Jones now. On interceptions, he's taken shots on him a couple of times, and they're not gentle touches. These aren't pillow fights. These are big hits on Kahari Jones, and you wonder if that wears on him, and maybe part of the reason he's throwing those interceptions.
And Filion had to miss practice this week because of severe headaches. He missed 7 games with a pinched nerve.
Well, he's giving Kahari Jones the headaches right now.
No kidding. 2nd and 10. Jones threatened. He'll bail out and run for himself. Puts his head down and takes a huge hit at the 20, short of the first down.
Well, you wonder if Winnipeg is now in 3-down territory.
The gain was 8.
But at this end of the field, I think they really have to punt the football.
Let's listen again to that nutcracker.
Not a game for the faint at heart.
And so it's a punting situation. 3rd and 2. Westwood, who's been rattled punting here today, standing on his own 6. Thomas Haskins and Tyree Davis are back at midfield for the Alouettes. Spiraling kick will come down to Tyree Davis at center field. Davis looking nowhere to go, and he'll just sit right there as Wade Miller makes the tackle on special teams for the Blue Bombers, but field position again in Montreal's favor. Welcome back to the Eastern Final in Montreal. There's the Eastern nominee for most outstanding player. He's won it twice. And our own CFL on CBC fans can vote for their outstanding player. Join us. Log on to our CFL on CBC site at cbc.ca. And we'll have a great site for you next week. Grey Cup week in Calgary. Pringle is clotheslined by Benny Goods. There's a fumble. The Bombers have it, but they've blown the play down at the 50.
Well, my outstanding player in this game has got to be Stephon Reed so far for Montreal, but that was very close to being a fumble. Winnipeg were quite upset. Benny Goods twisted Mike Pringle backwards. Now, did that ball come out before he hit the ground?
No, his knees are down.
His knees are definitely down, and it was Ryland Wickman over the top that knocked the ball out of there after he was down.
2nd and a little more than 10, a loss of about half a yard on that play. Calvillo back to pass, looking deep downfield for Alexander. He's got it! Alexander tackled at the 5. He's got 4.2 speed in the 40, and he opened up the jet clear, Glenn.
The middle was wide open, and Kevin Alexander took advantage of it. He likely broke off the pattern that was called in the huddle because, look, no safety. Tom Europe's up in the middle. He's up in the line of scrimmage. Winnipeg gambled. No safety in the middle. That's awful tough for Rio Wells, the halfback, to make up that much ground because Kevin Alexander, with his great speed, can run away from it. He caught the back half of that football.
Full stride catch, and it's 1st and goal. Alouettes at the Winnipeg 5-yard line. Here's the handoff. Pringle, tough going, still on his feet, finally hammered at the goal line. Gain of about 4 yards to the 1.
It's a 4-yard run, but it's one of those runs that really test out the hamstring, and if there's a question, with all the pushing that Pringle had to do against that defensive line, it looks like the hamstring's okay. Which is very good news for Montreal, because should they hang on and win this game, which it looks like they will, they need him next week.
2nd and goal from the 1. Alouettes threatening. Handoff. Bruno Heffel to the goal line. Touchdown. And the Bombers are furious.
Well, there's some frustration for the defense for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and you know, you really can't blame them. They've really battled in this football game, shut down a normally potent offense for Montreal, and yet when they look up on the scoreboard, it's not what they want to see.
Bruno Heffel with his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season. A big one here in the playoffs. He'll keep the ball as Montreal puts a firm grip on this Eastern Final with 3:28 to play. The point after attempt from Terry Baker. It's good. And it's 35-17. Montreal leading Winnipeg with 3:19 to go until the Grey Cup.
Coming into this football game, obviously Montreal was a little nervous. They had to fight back the demons of 4 straight years in the final, only to be shut down and not make it to the big game. And there was a tremendous amount of pressure on them, playing in front of their home crowd, another sellout at Molson Stadium.
Look at the fans up on the Fifth Ed building.
And they fought through it. They fought through a very poor first quarter, and good teams do that. Sometimes they don't have to win real fancy. Sometimes they can win ugly.
There's a facsimile of the Grey Cup. 3:19 and counting for this Alouette team, as it's 19 straight sellouts here at Molson Stadium as they have to find a perch outside the field if they don't have a ticket. Pringle on the headset to the spotter's box, healthy, back from the hamstring injury, and the fans now beginning to celebrate what they think will be the first Eastern Final win in 5 straight years.
This is a football crazy province, it really is.
And this is the most popular team in Montreal right now. A bouncing kickoff, fake reserve. Powell has it across the 30 to the 35, and then Charbonneau puts him down after a 16-yard return.
There are a few players from Montreal that this win means so much more to them. Guys that have been around for the 4 years of frustration. And you know the guy that I got to point out more than any is that right there. Canadian Stephon Reed showed tremendous leadership on defense.
How about poor Jacques Paime, 11 years in this league, and he's never been to the Grey Cup. He's talked about retirement, putting it off, coming back. He looks emotional.
Well, when they look back in the history books and they say, how did they finally get over the final hurdle? They should put number 47 right beside that note.
Jones will run for the first down, stepping out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Stephon Reed with a red-letter day. 2 interceptions for Montreal. There's another man who's waited a long time. Terry Baker, 11 years since he won a Grey Cup with you back in 1989 in Saskatchewan.
He was a punter back then, and he's gone through some tough times here in Montreal. Talk about Eastern Final. Looks like he's finally going to get over that hurdle.
First down, Bombers. Jones, screen pass to Corey Philpott, cutting upfield. Hit from behind.
Guess who was in on the tackle to start that out? Stephon Reed. You know what? Throughout the year in the media guide, it's written incorrectly where Stephon Reed's from. He's from Kamloops. And his mother, Patricia, is always annoyed when people say that he's not from there. Well, people in Kamloops are proud at this moment, I guarantee you that.
Tremendous day at linebacker for the Alouettes. 2nd and 5. Flags are down. And you can hear the crowd here with that familiar refrain that you used to hear at Canadiens games.
Offside. Montreal 75. First down.
Well, it's a good thing that guy remembered the words to the song.
Ed Fillion was called for being offside. So they'll move the stick.
Yes, they're nuts, man. But they're having fun, and it's been like that all year long. 19 straight sellouts here at Molson Stadium.
Jones in desperation, deep, tipped, incomplete. Davis, Sanchez there on the coverage with Albert Johnson III.
Lester Smith slid over there and almost had a second interception on the deflection.
How about Big Mike Sutherland made the magnanimous gesture this week to go to the coach, Dave Perry, and say, I shouldn't start. Scott Flory should start ahead of me because he's been backing me up all year when he had 10 games missed with injuries, and Flory got the start. But this man also craving an East Final championship. 2nd and 10 Bombers. Kahari Jones in the air. It's complete. Fans say it's just out of bounds, but Marcus Howell has the catch. The officials are conferring. It looked like he was out of bounds in the air.
They're going to give him the catch. Very close, and I'm surprised that he didn't ask for a little bit more out of that from Marcus Howell as far as the penalty goes.
Howell, one of the homemade Bombers.
Well, here's Barron Miles. You be the judge. You just need 1 foot in bounds. He's got the ball in his hands.
Oh,
just the toe.
He's got the toe.
Didn't even get the full foot, just the big toe.
Good call on that 13-yard gain by Marcus Howell. First down, Bombers, 2:17 to play. Back to pass, Kahari Jones pumps once, throws, incomplete. Intended for Albert Johnson, it was low.
He wanted Robert Gordon, and the guy who really got things started with some aggressive play in the second quarter shut the door on Robert Gordon. I'm talking there about Mark Washington, number 23. He was all over Gordon on that play. That's where Kahari Jones wanted to go.
Charlie Tabb looking over his ready list. He'll be calling the plays once Montreal goes on offense.
You mentioned he wanted to memorize that list that he has, and that's a pretty confusing list. I mean, that's more confusing than a flip chart in Florida.
Dave Ritchie, 10th. Team down 35-17. Desperate times now. Jones throwing deep. Intended for Philpott. He comes back for it and has it. Touchdown! Oh, he beat the tackles and reached into the end zone. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
Well, you got to give it to these Bombers. They just keep coming at you. They are definitely not giving up.
A 39-yard bomb from Jones to Philpott, and what a second effort after the catch.
Well, it was thrown behind him, and all the defenders from Montreal just ran right by the play. And a little second effort there to get it into the end zone.
Darrell Barron signals the touchdown. Point after attempt. They'll go for one. It's Westwood, and it's good. So with 2:04 left in regulation time, it's an 11-point margin for the Alouettes as Kahari Jones comes back after a shaky start to the second half.
The question now is, do you need to do the onside kick? And I think Dave Ritchie is talking about that right now, and I'm surprised that Bob Cameron's not in the middle of that conversation, because he's like a coach, and in fact was instrumental last week when they elected to punt the ball in a key situation. With 2 minutes left, there is still time to kick it deep, hold Montreal to 2-1 out, and get the football back in decent field position. If you try the onside kick now and don't get it, you basically give the game to Montreal.
Yes, the Alouettes have to guard against being overconfident that they've got this one locked up, because a converted touchdown with a 2-point convert and a field goal will tie the game.
The other thing is Montreal right now, Mark, will have to put their hands team on the field. They have to defend against an onside kick. Whether or not Winnipeg does it is up to them. But they have to get some receivers out there. You see Jacques Climb, he's going to be on the field. They're going to put everybody out there. Now, the formation that Winnipeg has, you see all these guys over here? That indicates onside kick.
Mark Washington is the wide man on the short side of the field, closest to the ball. But most of the players are here, and they'll go to the short side, over top of Washington to the 40. It'll bounce, and the Alouettes will fall on it. Washington on the ball.
Well, I think Troy Westwood kicked it a little too deep. It was sort of in between. He didn't kick it deep, but he didn't kick it onside. They tried to fool him.
Yes, Washington and Tyree Davis there to clutch the ball, and it went too far for any Bomber to get close to it.
Well, Winnipeg tried to fool him. They put everybody to the right side, hoping that Montreal would think they'd try the onside that way. They went the opposite way, and the kick was just a little too deep, but not deep enough to make it a deep kickoff, if you know what I mean.
I got it figured out.
Okay.
It's first down at the 37 for Montreal. Calvillo on the ground. Thomas Haskins hurdling and drilling his way up across the 45, just shy of the first down marker. 1:58 in regulation time. Bombers need to get it back to have any chance. Calvillo keeping it on the ground. 2nd and 1 situation now.
Well, he will now, no question.
Davis Sanchez, the leading interceptor in the league this year with 9 on the bench. Handoff, Bruno Heppel. Oh, it was hard going there. I don't know if he got it. Very close to a first down.
Well, they're going to measure. That's how close it was. They're going to bring in the sticks. You know, and if it is short, you know, this is an interesting situation for Montreal simply because, you know, it's short enough that you automatically would go for it if you're Charlie Taft. Although whenever you gamble on third down, it just takes one slip, one bobble snap, and will they have to do it? No. First down, Montreal.
The Alouettes keep the ball with 1:37 to play. Stephon Reed,
there's your hero.
One of the great defenders for the Alouettes today. 2 interceptions and some timely tackles.
And played so well away from the ball as well. He just executed the position perfectly today.
First down, Alouettes. Calvillo to Thomas Haskins on the ground. Haskins on the outside. And mauled as he crossed the 50. The gain will be about 5, so it's 2nd and 5, Montreal.
Well, now Winnipeg Blue Bombers are facing the best team in Canadian football with a lead and time running out. That's the Montreal Alouettes. Winnipeg has to burn their only timeout in the second half right now to stop the clock at 1:16.
Anthony Calvillo, who paid his dues first as a rookie starter in Las Vegas, then in Hamilton, thrust into the starting position, perhaps before he was ready. When they cut him after 1997, within days, Montreal signed him. He worked behind Tracy Ham for a couple of years, and this year he has taken the reins of this team. And he is 1:16 from taking them to the Grey Cup.
You know what, Mark? If there's a team in the league that deserves to be there, it's got to be the Montreal Alouettes.
On the ground again, Haskins the ball carrier, and he's gang tackled right at the line of scrimmage on that 2nd and 5 situation. And so it will be a punt situation for the Alouettes with 1:11 left on the clock.
And that's no disrespect to Winnipeg because they have really battled in this football game. But this is a team that has put together 12 wins in a row, over 12 wins at least 5 times, 5 straight years. Montreal Alouettes have been in the Eastern Final 4 straight years, have not got to the Grey Cup. They deserve to be there if any team does.
Larry Smith, the president, was saying the other day, now I know how Ottawa felt back in the 70s when the Rough Riders lost 5 Eastern Finals in 6 years to the Montreal Alouettes. Punting comparison, no contest as Baker nearly doubles Westwood's production.
Westwood was rattled early with some pressure from Montreal.
There's Larry in the stands at his usual spot at center field behind the bench, and now the Alouettes will use up a timeout.
What a great job that Larry Smith, Jim Pop, Charlie Taft have done with this organization. 19 straight sellouts at Molson Stadium. They're basically sold out for next year already.
That's right. They're only going to leave about 3,000 tickets for fans to buy on the day of the game or the week of the game.
On the play. It is third down.
So Baker gets set to punt. Clock is run down to 52.2 seconds.
That's the other thing Stephon Reed has done in this game. He's been on all the special teams, covering kicks and doing a nice job at that as well.
He's got to be the player of the game. Johnson and Howell back to receive this punt. It's Albert Johnson III taking his time about returning this one. They string it out, the Alouettes do, and he doesn't get much on that one. A 41-yard boot, and they'll say 0 on the return.
Tim Gleiser makes the tackle.
39.8 seconds for this Alouette team, cursed 4 years in a row, losing the Eastern Final. The last 2 in gut-wrenching fashion, and here they are, 39 seconds from victory. The 5th time around, flags are down on that intended pass for Milt Stegall. Wiltshire may be called for interference.
And for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, it took them half a season to get organized, especially offensively.
Montreal number 1, first down.
They started out the year with Kerwin Bell at quarterback. It took them about half the season to decide that Kahari Jones was not only the future, but maybe he was the present. They give Kahari Jones the reins. He takes over, and boy, they just turn things around in a hurry.
Yes, their last playoff appearance in '96 when they were embarrassed 68-7. That pass tipped, intended for Gordon, nearly intercepted. But there is a very bright horizon for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And
Jack Climby, you can tell he's already thinking about next week.
hey, for the first time in his 11-year career, he's going to the Grey Cup. There's Reg Lowe, the former president of the Bombers on the left, with the current president of the Alouettes, Larry Smith. He's going back to the Cup. He played in some big ones in the 70s for the Owls. Kahari Jones back to pass. It's complete to Philpott. He'll have a first down, breaks a tackle, gets outside, forced out of bounds by Lester Smith at the Montreal 50 with 19 seconds to play.
What a job by Corey Philpott, probably his last game. Corey Philpott announcing that he'd likely retire. Great, courageous effort in this final. But hey, congratulations to the Montreal Alouettes. They fight off the demons of 4 years gone by to get into the show.
Jones back to pass, lots of time. He'll bail from the pocket, slide shy of the 40 in the first down marker with 12.1 seconds to play, and an 11-point deficit, seemingly insurmountable now as Climby feels the butterflies and the imminent qualification to the Grey Cup for him.
Well, and when you look at this crowd,
Jones to pass, lots of time at the line of scrimmage, can't find the receiver, and he's sacked.
Stephon Reed
Again. And the clock reads 0. The Alouettes are going to the Grey Cup. And for the first time in 5 straight years, they win the Eastern Final. The monkey is off their back.
a team that dominated all year offensively, on the ground, through the air, won the Eastern Final on defense.
Swift Birch overcome. Stephon Reed. Jock Climby can smile. That dark spot in his heart is gone. This team that has lived with this cursed streak of 4 straight losses have vanquished that sorry record.
Well, if there's any tickets left for the Grey Cup, and I understand there's a few, I think they'll be sold in a hurry now, because there'll be some fans here from Montreal making the trip to Calgary. I guarantee you that.
Let's go to the sidelines, and here's Steve with the game's hero on defense.
Thank you very much, Mark. I'm trying to catch up with Stephon Reed. Stephon, congratulations. What a time to come up with a defensive game of your life.
It's a dream game. This is a dream come true. But we ain't done yet. We still got to win in Calgary. I'm just so excited for the guys and the fans and the people of Montreal supporting us all these years. It's beautiful.
Stephon, what did you do to turn it around in the second half?
Our defensive line started getting pressure on the quarterback was the difference early on. And then we settled in playing zone there for a while. Started just making plays on the ball. Got Kahari a little bit scrambled and ended up with a victory.
Stephon Reed, certainly the defensive star for the Montreal Alouettes. After 4 tries, 5th time is lucky for the Alouettes. They're going to the Grey Cup. They win the Eastern Final 35-24. The fans are still on their feet here at Molson Stadium, celebrating the Alouettes' 35-24 win over the Bombers. Now, let's head west.